How much blood must an axe be steeped in? How many bodies must have their entrails torn out? How many bound captives must be penetrated for a Viking child to be recognised as of age to call himself a warrior? Tonight we will not merely speak of Viking legends. We will delve into what the sagas dared not tell, a brutal journey of maturation, where blood, semen and steel forged childhood. In this land of ice and snow, lullabies are not songs, but the sound of bones breaking in the night. Breakfast is not oatmeal, but enemy fat mixed with wine. And a child's first love at times is the sight of his father raping a captive by the campfire as an introductory lesson in domination. This is not a romantic legend. This is an education forged by sword genitalia and ashes. Those who survive become wolves. Those who fall become dust. Tonight we will delve deep into that darkness, where Viking glory reveals its true form, a collective madness legitimized by honour. Before we begin, you might consider liking and subscribing if you find the stories I tell worth staying up late for. And as always, let me know where you're watching from and what time it is now. I'm always curious to see who has gathered around this campfire with me each night. Do you think you have the courage to listen further? Trust me, the deeper we go, the more you will wish you had never known. Part 1. Born in the Storm. Have you ever wondered how a Viking warrior, the kind who would one day torch a monastery, drive a spear through a Frankish night and sow dread along Europe's coasts, actually begins life? Spoiler. Definitely not glamorous. No halo, no legend, just a purple wrinkled baby in a dark timber house. Kitchen, smoke stinging the eyes, wind hissing through wall slats like a demon's howl. The first cradle, a rough wooden box straw stuffed in the bottom, damp and sour, basically a training bed for extreme survival mode. In the 9th century North infancy is the harshest tutorial you'll ever get. You're not welcomed by lullabies, you're thrown a test, endure cold, endure hunger, endure the community's gaze. A Viking child isn't the family's private treasure. It belongs to the village, a communal project everyone helps name you, bless you and judge you. And if you don't pass, nobody hides it. The save file gets deleted on the loading screen. People like to joke that Vikings are born knowing how to swing an axe. Truth is, you're born knowing how to breathe smoke. You cry to prove your lungs work. You shiver in a wobbly wooden cradle so the whole village can believe you have a chance of making it past winter. That's when the gods look at you for the first time and decide keep or delete. They lay you in a cradle no modern museum would dare let an infant try. Plank split in a hurry from a young pine, its resin still sharp in the nose. The rim isn't plain smooth. It sometimes bites the skin, leaving red ridges. The bottom is padded with dry straw, a few scraps of sheepskin tossed over the top. But straw doesn't stay dry long in a smoke-blackened house. Damp seeps up from the earth, turning it musty, exhaling a smell, halfway between granary and stable. You lie there with your newborn skin against animal fur, warm yet itchy, your nose full of smoke, your ears pricked by the wind slapping the thatch. In that cradle you learn the first lesson: no one prepares a comfy bed for you. The world doesn't care if your skin is sensitive or your lungs are weak. You have to bear the cold, learn to breathe smoke and sleep in the scent of mouldy straw. Think about it in the 21st century. Parents compete over organic mattresses. In the 9th, Viking parents think if the kid survives this smell, one day he'll handle a ship's hold jammed with dried fish. Naming day is a serious rite. Your father lifts you from the cradle, opens the door and strides straight onto the timber porch. The north wind smashes into you like a blade. No screen, no tiny wool cap. You, a red lump of flesh, are presented directly to the gods. People gather round, their breath ghosts white. Last night's mead still clings to their clothes. They look at you curious, the way you'd watch a wedge. Will this little thing scream? Will it breathe? Will it pass the test? Your father raises you high, almost as if throwing you straight into the wind. The gust hits your face and rips at your lungs with cold. You open your mouth not to speak, but to howl. The shrill cry slices through the porch. The onlookers nod, this one will live. If you're silent. By morning they might find you on the hill tucked under snow. The cry is followed by blessings. The elder mutters, "May he be strong as a bear." A woman whispers, "May she outlast the winter." A young man adds, "May he row all day without breaking his arms." The blessings sound like a training regimen, not poetry. Nobody wishes you happiness or peace here. The only hope is that you don't die early. Then come the charms. The midwife ties around your neck a tiny Mjolnir hammer of Thor cast in bronze or chipped from stone. It lies ice cold on your bare chest. The rawhide cord rasps your neck, raising a rash. No one fusses. The amulet is your invisible shield, a plea for Thor to guard you from sickness spirits and a shabby fate. In meme speak, this is the Mythic DLC antivirus subscription. Your name is proclaimed, not at random. Names drag a lineage and ancestor of virtue behind them. Bjorn Bear, Thora Thunder, Eric Eternal. Every time someone calls you, they're pinging you a reminder, hey, live up to it. A name isn't just a label, it's a mandate. A Viking child does not get a carefree childhood. You are branded on day one, and the brand stays until you die. The community witnesses everything. They chuckle if your wail rings out. They shake their heads if you look frail. In Viking society, the public gaze weighs more than any strap or rod, and you only days old have already been measured and judged. This isn't a cozy nuclear family. It's a flesh and blood social network where every one of your cries gets liked, shared, or hit with a live dislike right to your face. That night they set you back in the rickety wooden cradle. The wind still blows, the straw still moulds, the smoke still bites the eyes. But on your chest a tiny Mjolnir glints, and the whole village falls asleep thinking this child has cleared the first test. You think childhood means warm arms, sleeping in under a quilt, a mug of hot milk at sunrise. Welcome to 9th century Scandinavia, where the word childhood doesn't exist in the dictionary. Here, from the moment you can crawl, life is already a demo version of the war against nature. Your mornings don't start with an alarm. They start with wind slicing through timber walls, thatch, rattling overhead, dogs barking, and capercaillie thundering their wings somewhere in the dark. A weak band of light slips through the door crack, just enough to catch dust hanging in the air, braided with kitchen smoke. The wooden house where your whole family lives is basically a giant smokehouse, the smell of ash, animal fat, dried fish and damp pelts all folding into a scent symphony most noses can't bear. That is the smell of your childhood. You don't sleep on a soft mattress, but on an animal skin bed thrown straight on the plank floor. Your blanket is a heavy sheepskin, sometimes still rank because the wash didn't take. Every time you roll over, the wool prickles and the straw beneath scratches your skin. In winter, your breath puffs white and beads into droplets that fall back onto your nose. There's no glass window. Instead, the wind threads the wall slats and slides right across where you lie. Enduring cold isn't a lesson, it's the air you breathe. To keep warm, people layer wool, but the wool drinks in mist, turning heavy and itchy. You get used to the sting in your chest the moment you crawl out from under the skins to your feet going numb when they touch the packed earth. That's your daily fitness test. No one coaxes you out of bed for school. The cold itself yanks you upright if you don't want to shiver to pieces. Today they call it cold therapy to steel the will. For you it's not therapy, it's the default setting. Your parents don't pamper you. They see getting used to hardship as essential prep for the future. By the time you're 3, you're assigned work gathering, kindling around the house, dragging branches no thicker than your arm back to the hearth. You tug while trembling, tiny hands scraped by thorns, but no one scoops you up. They watch and nod. He can do it. Your first life challenge isn't a puzzle game, it's the unpaid toddler labour edition. Next task, animals. You're put in charge of the chickens or the lambs, making sure they don't stray. The smell of chicken droppings and the bleating of sheep become the soundtrack of early childhood. You learn how to clamp a chicken by the neck when it thrashes, how to call the flock back with a shout. One winter day an old goat bowls you over. The whole village laughs and you learn a vital rule: no one pities you, they just wait for you to get up. Inside the timber house, discipline is the silent law. You eat when you're called, sleep when the fire dies, and you absolutely do not complain. The grown-ups believe children must learn silence early. A pointless cry earns a barked warning. Hush, or the forest spirits will hear. The threat works because you believe it. You learn to swallow tears, smother sobs, clench your fists and bite your lip instead. These mental habits, which sound harsh, are really training so you can stand your ground in the shield wall someday without running. When night comes, the house sinks into firelight. You sit close to the hearth, eyes stinging from smoke, one side of your body burning hot, while the other stays ice cold. It's a lesson in extreme balance, getting used to living both hot and cold comfort and discomfort at once. You think you're warming yourself, but really you're training for the day you'll be soaked to the bone on a boat and still have to row. You're also handed errands scraping dried fish, cracking grain, sifting ash from the hearth. Each tiny job is a patience test. Do it wrong and you're scolded or tapped with a stick handle. Do it right and there's no treat, just a nod. Strangely enough, that nod becomes the most powerful dopamine reward in Viking times. Winter days stretch without end. Daylight lasts only a few hours. You sit listening to the wind howl through the cracks like monsters bellowing outside. Your parents teach you don't be afraid. Listen so you'll know when the wind shifts. You learn to read wind by its voice, weather by the smell of the air. Viking children don't learn letters, they learn something more important, the language of nature. Once the snow piles to your knees, and your father makes you step outside, circle the house once with no cloak. Each step numbs, tears freezing on your cheeks. You cry as you walk, then stumble back inside to be wrapped in pelts. Your father smiles. He knows snow now. The lesson, what doesn't kill you outright, hardens you. Vikings never read Nietzsche, but they lived the philosophy. At 4, you're taught to keep the fire. It sounds simple, don't let the hearth go out. Yet wood coke's embers rake ash. One time you slip and let it die. The whole house shivers in the cold and you're fiercely scolded. You cry, but from then on you understand keeping fire is keeping life. A Viking child doesn't just sit by the fire. You shoulder a survival duty. In the village, children are compared in public. Who walks the farthest, who gathers wood fastest, who can call the sheep home. Praise and blame aren't just patter, they erect a mini social leaderboard. If you're judged weak, the label sticks, dragging your family standing down with it. This is the society where reputation is oxygen. You breathe that from the start. Many nights you curl under pelts, listening to your parents tell stories of ancestors as the wind roars between the timbers. Every tale carries the same motif the steadfast live. The timid die. You drift to sleep with a murky fear that if tomorrow you botch your chores, you'll be remembered as the coward. That is how Viking discipline seeps into your blood through cold, through errands, through the village gaze, through stories by the fire. Think children's toys are just for fun, wrong. In a Viking village, toys aren't there to keep kids quiet while parents are tired. They're compact previews of war and survival. Put bluntly, every toy you touch is a beta version of a real weapon, a training DLC disguised as play. And you 3 or 4 years old are already drafted into the big game. You start with a wooden boat. Not a longship, of course, just a rough-hewn block with a hole bored in the middle for a twig mast. But to a child's mind, it's a mini drakkar, a sea dragon, ready to conquer any puddle in the village. You set it loose in muddy water after rain, brown swirls, floating leaves. The mast tilts, the boat spins. Sometimes it sinks. You shout, you cry when it breaks, then you pick it up, swap in a new stick and launch again. Adults watch and smile your first seamanship class. You can't read a chart yet, but you already know wind can betray you. Water can swallow you and a boat survives because your hands save it. The mud reeks and sticks to your tiny fingers. You lick your lips, salt and grit. Your laugh mingles with a crow's rasp on the roof. To passers-by, a child at play, in truth survival drills. Years later when you're rowing real seas, the memory of that puddle boat still lives in your muscles. Then the wooden sword. A shaved branch, cut to your reach. Heavier than any plastic toy today. When you swing it, rebounds and buzzes in your wrist. You learn a weapon isn't just held, it's governed. You slash the air a fence post, a pile of snow. Once you catch your friend's chin by mistake, he cries blood beads. Grown-ups don't scold, they chuckle. Good. They're learning distance. In the north, a kid's accident equals a field lesson. You get a mini round shield, thin planks, just heavy enough to make your arms strain. You square off with a playmate, both gripping sticks, banging them off each other's shields. The village rings with it like a battle in miniature. Your shoulder aches, hands go numb, but you don't stop. Adults call out, keep the shield tight, lock in, don't lean back. You don't grasp every word, but your body does. That's muscle memory installed in preschool. Some days you're herded to an open patch where kids play the junior version of Natalaika. A ball of wool stuffed with hair, a curved branch for a bat. Rules are simple: strike, scramble, collide. No referee, no fair play. Any contest can end in a shove or a fist to the face. One day a stick smacks your shoulder. Pain flares. Everyone just laughs. You learn pain doesn't kill you, quitting does. The whole village watches and cheers. Adults don't intervene. They see a sandbox for learning contact. One kid falls, another laughs. A kid bursts into tears, his father snaps. Up, keep going. You learn to stomach public embarrassment, to see that tears buy nothing but contempt. You learn to hit back to keep from being looked down on. In the north, honour starts on the playground. Toys aren't only weapons, they're restore engines. You have a woolen doll, no frills, just a weapon stuffed with straw. In your hands, it's a fallen warrior, a farmer, a captive. You stage a plot, the doll is taken. You must rescue it with the wooden boat. Every play session becomes a pocket saga, mirroring the grown-ups' tales by the hearth. You absorb the values heroes fight. Cowards are mocked. There's also going to sea inside the village. A bunch of kids straddle a long log and call it a ship. Those on the sides grip sticks and chant row, row. The bow kid yells, Stormond flings muddy water over everyone. You sit midship shivering, face splattered, laughing hard. It's maritime cosplay, sure, but it's also a drill. Get used to wet, cold chaos and shouting. You don't know it yet, but your nerves are being programmed for the real scene to come night. Sea, shrieking wind, pounding waves, a leader yelling, row adults don't see a messy child in mud. They see a future fighter practicing cold and wet. One slip equals balance training. One stick thwack equals spacing discipline. One puddle ship sinking equals nature's warning that she always wins. Every game carries warfare in its DNA. All your early years are covert prep. You think you're playing, you're being trained. One day you watch your father hone an axe on the porch. He eyes your wild stick swing, then nods. He's used to the weight. You don't fully get it, but the look brands you not a baby anymore, a small warrior mid-build. Sometimes the game goes too far. A kid takes a stick to the head, blood runs. His mother screams, his father grins. He'll remember that lesson forever. And he will charging without cover, lethal injury. The tuition isn't advice, it's blood. Mimi line in the North Kindergarten equals UFC Kids Edition. You grow up with tiny scars on your brow, bruises on your arms, and a new certainty. You know how heavy a stick feels, how a shield booms, how easily a boat sinks. Those experiences weave into your blood a kind of knowledge no book records. And when the elders spin sagas by the fire of warriors and battles, you glance down at your hands, the hands that gripped a wooden sword, a shield rim, a toy prow. You understand you're on the right track. Viking children don't need classrooms. Their playground is the barracks, their toys are practice weapons, and every joke is a preview of the real fight. You think early education means classrooms, chalkboards and alphabet drills. In 9th century Scandinavia, education is a winter night kitchen, smoke burning your eyes, and a voice rising in the darkness to tell a story. You sit close to the fire. A heavy pelt weighs on your shoulders, but one side of your face blisters from heat, while the other goes numb from wind sneaking through the wall slats. The air reeks bitter, pine smoke, scorched goat fat, sparks cracking in the flames. And in that thick space, the adults begin to speak. They don't tell stories to lull you to sleep. They tell them to program your mind. An elder's rasp fills the room, spinning a tale of ancestors who went raiding. My grandfather's grandfather rode across the sea, struck down his enemies, carried back gold, and never once turned his back in battle. The words thrum in the smoky air, his face flickering in the firelight. You sit slack-jawed, seeing the ship, hearing the war cries. Your imagination paints an epic, each detail pressed into your mind as a command never run. You learn about Drengskapa honor. More than bravery, it's a bundle deal courage, plus loyalty, plus pride, plus refusal of shame. The storyteller insists a man may be poor ugly even, but if he has Drengskapa he will be respected. A rich man who is a coward will be spat on even if his neck drags with gold. You're only 4 too young to pass every word, but the rhythm engraves itself in you. In Viking society, reputation is oxygen. Without honour, you don't exist. Every saga told at the fire is really a disguised ethics class. You hear about Eagle as a boy smashing another child's skull with a game stick. The adults chuckle. Yes, blood was spilled, but it proved he wouldn't be beaten. Message received collision is proof of worth. A world where children earn praise for drawing blood from their playmates. Mimi line kindergarten rules share toys. Viking rules spill blood. You hear about Sigurd slaying the dragon, about Thor hammering giants into the dirt. These stories are not mere entertainment. They're psychological textbooks. Dragon equals challenge. Thor autos the real man model smash monsters, drink hard. Betrayal or the foulest death. You learn through images. Your eyes glow at treasure, at gold, at battles. Adults know those images will carry you upward, pushing you toward one goal, becoming a worthy link in the next saga chain. Storytelling is their version of Netflix and chill. Outside minus 20 degrees snow blanketing the world. The whole village huddles in a timber hall. Nothing to do but eat sow and spin tales. Imagine it one communal streaming service, but the only content is blood, steel and betrayal. No skip intro. Each night is a new season. You're a captive audience. You also absorb the culture of shaming. Adults recount the coward who ran, the traitor who betrayed. They never say names, yet everyone knows. You shiver. In Viking society, public disgrace is like a death sentence. To live branded as a coward is worse than dying outright. You realise the greatest fear isn't pain, it's laughter aimed at you. As you grow, you're pulled deeper into the storytelling circle. At first, you only listen. Later, they test you. Which ancestor did what you stumble, say it wrong? The circle laughs, your cheeks burn. Next time you remember every detail. This is Viking quiz mode. Fail to recall the family saga, and you may as well not belong to the family. One night your father lays a heavy hand on your shoulder. You bear your grandfather's name. He fell in battle, his spear snapped, but he did not retreat. Your name is tied to him, do not shame it. You nod heart pounding. You grasp the truth, a name isn't a gift, it's a debt. Every child in the village receives the same upload, a script of lineage enemies' honour. In daytime play, you wield your wooden sword and shout your ancestor's name. When your toy boat sinks in a puddle, you cry out, Thor, protect us. Stories and games fuse into one, forming a full package simulation of the future. You grow up in a world with no innocent tales. Nobody tells you of fluffy bunnies or guardian angels. Every story ends with blood, honour or death. Even at 4 or 5, you've learned to sit still, listen, memorise and tremble with fear at being mocked for forgetting. That is your school, the school by the fire. There's one detail too stark but true. When a child dies young, sometimes the community stops mentioning them. They vanish from the saga erased as if they never lived. You hear of it and freeze in terror. Deep inside you vow, I will not be forgotten. Fear turns into fuel. In the Viking age there is no rest in peace. There is only be remembered or be deleted. You drift into sleep to the sound of sagas, but your mind keeps running in background mode, recording data. Honour is everything. Ancestors are watching. Your name chains you to the and when you dream, you see yourself on a ship, sword in hand, shouting to the storm. Then morning breaks, you gather wood. You practice rowing, you duel with your wooden sword. The cycle continues night after night, tale after tale, until one day you truly become part of the team, a living character in the saga that never ends. Part 2. Playing to forge the body. After the bruises of the playground, you think your body is trained enough. But Viking society doesn't stop at collisions. From the age of 6, you're hurled beyond the village porch into the freezing river onto the rocking boat deep into the forest with your father. Out here, there are no games. This is the school of nature where water, wind and darkness are the teachers. You stand at the riverbank. Morning light shimmers on the water, but the cold rolls off it like an invisible wall. Your father's eyes are not tender, they're testing. He jerks his chin down. You tremble, but disobedience isn't an option. The river bites your legs sharp, stabbing cold. Each step drives icy needles deeper into your skin. You suck in a breath and plunge forward. Water closes around you like death's grip. Your heart clenches. Your lungs scream. From shore, your father shouts, "Up!" You thrash tiny arms, clawing the waterhead, breaking the surface, breath bursting like fire. Cheers erupt. Not celebration, but recognition. This child can swim. You can't glide like the grown men yet, but you've learned not to panic. Cold water teaches calm. Flail too wildly and you sink. Surrender and you drown. Lesson 1 from the sea. Survival means finding rhythm inside fear. Next comes rowing. The boat is narrow, twitchy on the waves. You sit in the middle, clutching a rough oar, sticky with resin. Your father's command cuts the air. Row. The oar bites water, humming as you pull. Your shoulders burn, your arms ache. Spray lashes your face, brine on your lips. The boat rattles under waves. Around you, hard faces, harsh breathing. You realise this isn't puddle play anymore. This is the heartbeat of the community. If one hand stops, the rhythm breaks, the boat veers. You learn cooperation, your strength is only a single link. One day, winds hammer the boat sideways. Panic jolts you. Your hands clutch the gunwale. Your father roars, "Don't drop the oar," you hold. The oar feels like iron, your shoulders tearing, but the boat rights itself. Gasping, you learn fear dissolves only when your hands keep the rhythm. When you're not rowing, you're fishing. You follow your mother or grandfather to the shore hemp line and bone hook in hand. You cast. Waves slap, wind shriek, salt saturates your face. You fix your eyes on the grey water, waiting for that faint tug. The line jerks. Heart pounding, you haul flopping silver bursts through the surface. You cry out, clutching the slippery cold body. The adults smile not for the fish, but for you, another survival skill unlocked. Sometimes the line snaps, leaving you empty-handed. You learn failure. Sometimes the fish lunges, yanking you down on the rocks. Pain blooms on your head. You learn hurt. No one coddles you. They just say, "Next time, tie tighter." In Viking life, nature is a non-stop exam. No retry button. You also trail your father into the woods. Thick trunks blot out the skylight, trickles in shards. Pine resin, damp earth coring. Crows, crunching leaves underfoot. Your father teaches you to read direction moss on tree bark, the sound of wind in the branches. His hand presses heavy on your shoulder. Remember where the sun is. Smell the salt on the wind. The sea is always your anchor. You nod. From then on, every trip into the forest becomes a lesson in decoding the living book of nature. The sun as compass, the wind as needle, the soil's scent as forecast, silence as predator nearby. Sometimes he assigns you a task, find the way back alone. Fear squeezes your chest. Trees loom, shadows swallow. But you recall his words, follow the sea scent chase, the fading light, listen for distant dogs. Step by shaky step, you stumble toward the sight of rooftops. Back in the village, lungs heaving, you collapse into arms that steady you. The verdict is simple. He found the way. You didn't just go home, you passed the test. Don't panic in the dark, so your years between 6 and 9 unfold like this. Morning, swim in the river, afternoon, rowing, another day, fishing, another trailing into the forest. Each fragment builds a survival mosaic, lungs steady in water, arms locked in rhythm on waves, hands pulling food from the sea, eyes reading the woods. No report cards, only the village's gaze. They measure you against others. That boy swam farther. That girl caught more fish. Your cheeks burn, your gut hardens. You vow not to lose. Competition here begins on riverbanks, not on battlefields. Every failure etches a scar. Every success sparks a smile. You grow with a body toughened, a heart toughened, but also a rhythm, a pulse, in tune with your people. At night you collapse on furs, bones aching, but your mind buzzes with the day's family saga. Today you swam farther, rowed harder, pulled a fish, found your way. Every day you don't just survive, you step closer to the warrior your community expects you to be. Part 2. First contact with weapons, small knives, wooden shields, learning distance. You've swum icy rivers, rowed rocking boats, fished with bone hooks and thrown yourself into shadowed forests. But from 6 years old onward, those skills are only groundwork. The real lessons of a Viking child begin when your hands no longer hold branches or oars, but a small iron knife and a round wooden shield. Adults call these safe tools not sharp enough for the battlefield. Yet you know better. The chill of steel in your palm, the thunder of wood on wood, the fear of locking eyes with another child. This is the moment you first touch the true essence of a warrior. You remember the day your father placed a knife in your hand. The blade was short, dull by warrior standards, not enough to kill, but sharp enough to slice meat, carve wood, or cut you if you slipped. He set it firmly on your palm, its wooden handle coarse, its iron smell acrid. He said little, only gestured, hold. Your hand trembled, but you tightened your grip. Steel kissed your skin, cold alien. You were no longer the child with playthings. You were a novice entering the harshest school, the school of weapons. Your first task cut hemp rope. You laid the cord on a block of wood, dragged the knife down. The blade bit fibres, frayed scraps flew. For the first time you felt power metal bending the world to your will. But then you brushed the edge. A thin line tore across your finger. Blood welled. You gasped, pulling back. Your father's eyes stayed flat. No comfort, only, remember this pain. Don't repeat it. Lesson 1, burned in weapons, do not forgive carelessness. Next came the shield. A thin round board, smooth face hand grip at the centre. You lifted it, arm quivering, bigger than your chest, heavier than expected. Yet when the first stick struck clang, you understood this wasn't wood. It was a wall, the only wall between you and the world. The first drills were with other children. Each held a shield and a stick. You faced your partner, eyes locked. Your pulse hammered, sweat slicking your palms. Then the command, begin. The stick slammed. The shield thundered like a drum. Your whole body jolted. You flinched, stumbled back. From the sidelines your father barked, keep distance. You gritted, hauled the shield up, swung the stick across. The clash rang out, pain stung your arm. But you didn't fall. For the first time you felt what survival meant, measuring distance, holding the shield tight. This play became a public lesson. Adults gathered in circle, watching like a sports match. They muttered judgments. That boy left his shield open. That girl's strike didn't land. Your cheeks flushed hot. You pushed harder. A strike slammed your shoulder. Pain shot through. Tears pricked your eyes. But you swallowed them down. Crying here wasn't just weakness, it was shame. Each day the lessons grew harder. You learned to step correctly. No wild running, no careless leaping. One short stride, weight centered, balance firm. Shield and knife move as one hand guards the other. Strikes. Over and over, your father drilled, no gaps. You tried. You failed. A stick smacked your arm, pain radiating deep. Every bruise whispered the same truth, the battlefield spares no opening. At night you collapsed on furs, arms numb. You stared at purple bruises blooming like grapes. Yet instead of hating them, you felt pride. Each mark was a silent medal. You showed them off. I blocked 3 hits today. Friends laughed, lifting sleeves to display their own scrapes. This was your childhood scoreboard, not test scores, but scars. The community cheered it on. A well-blocked blow earned nods. Yes, he knows distance. Failure earned laughter retold like gossip. Reputation began here. You understood strength wasn't only private, it had to be seen. One day training shifted to mock battle. 2 groups of children's shields raised sticks as spears. The signal blared. The groups crashed together. Shields boomed, sticks lashed, dirt flew. Chaos engulfed you, screams, wood cracking, feet stamping. Suddenly a stick slipped past your guard, cracked your ear, white light flared, head ringing, body crumpling into mud. The world spun. You thought death had come. Then your father's roar split the din. Stand up, you lurched up, vision doubled. Hands shaking, but the shield lifted again. A roar of approval surged from the crowd. You realise falling isn't failure, staying down is. Slowly, your body learned the geometry of fighting. Too short a strike countered, too wide a retreat cornered. You felt distance in your bones, the space where your shield met theirs, where your knife could reach. No ruler measured it, only flesh and bone. You saw clearly the weapon wasn't just in your hand, it was in your eyes, in the invisible gap you controlled. This was primal survival knowledge. By 7, you could gut a fish with a knife, raise a shield against a strike thrust with a stick. Still a child, yet your body pulsed with weapon rhythm. Adults glanced and nodded quietly. You didn't need praise, you knew they were measuring whether one day you'd hold your place in the shield wall without breaking. Some drills ended with split-lip swollen cheeks. Nobody called them accidents, they were lessons. You went to sleep head throbbing, but in dreams you still heard the drumbeat of wood on wood, still saw your father's approving nod. And you understood Viking childhood had no babysitters, only a community that turned every game into a battlefield classroom. Part 2, Discipline and Reward. You think you've gotten used to the small knife, the wooden shield, the crack of wood on wood across the packed earth yard. Think again. Between 6 and 9, you don't just learn to use your muscles, you learn to face the village's invisible verdict. In the Viking age, a lash of the stick hurts for a moment, but a look of contempt can follow you to the grave. And the reverse is true too. A tight-lipped smile, a single nod of praise can feel worth a chest of gold. This is when you absorb the harshest lesson of all, make a mistake and you're punished in public. Do it right and you're honoured in front of everyone. You remember a winter afternoon? The training ground is bare, wind knifing through the children, drilling in a shield liner. You stand in the middle rank, hands shaking from the cold. Suddenly you step back too far, an opening yawns wide. The kid across from you drives his stick through the gap and cracks your shoulder. You pitch forward, face smeared with wet mud. Laughter explodes. Adults on the edge stand with folded arms, nodding. See, that's the price for not holding your place. Your face burns. Tears climb your throat. You swallow them, in your eyes. And from that day on, you never leave your shield open again. Your punishment isn't a beating. It's public laughter. In Viking society, being mocked in front of the community hurts worse than blows. Reputation is capital, and losing it means losing your footing. You feel the eyes, the elder shaking his head, your father's brow tightening, your friend's speaking. Every muscle in you screams, don't let this happen twice. On another day, you're put in charge of keeping the hearth while the adults are away. The wind shifts, the fire dies. When they return, the house is ice and the smell of ash clings to everything. Their voices crack like thunder. Through your carelessness, you let the whole house freeze. You tremble, face drained, heart banging in your chest. No one strikes you, but no one speaks to you all evening. Silence becomes the cruelest punishment. You understand your error isn't only about a fire, it's about honour. You shamed the household. From then on, you guard the coals as if they were your life. There are moments of honour too. One day, during a mock rowing race, the boat lists hard, kids shriek, one nearly topples. You spring up, clamp the gunwale and yell row. The rhythm returns, the hull steadies. Everyone collapses panting then. All eyes turn to you. On shore, your father smiles and gives a single nod. You drop to the bench, heart wild, and a slow happiness spreads through your body. That night you hear the adults say the boy kept the beat. That is the richest reward being mentioned in the village's story. Rewards aren't coins or gifts, they're acknowledgements carried mouth to mouth. A child called brave goes to sleep with a lifted chest. A child called timid keeps their head down for a week. Words are weapons. You learn to fear them, crave them, and live for them. There's a small rite you never forget. At the winter feast, the children line up before the elder. He asks each one, "What did you learn this year?" One boasts of swimming farther, another brags about landing a big fish. When it's your turn, your voice trembles, but you say, "I kept my shield up when the blows were heavy." The elder studies you, then presses into your hand a tiny bone chip carved with runes and hangs it around your neck. The village claps. Your throat tightens. It feels like a coronation. You never take it off afterward. It isn't a magic charm, it's proof that the community has marked you. But honour can vanish as quickly as wind. Another time you're careless and drop your little knife in the mud. The adults laugh and repeat the tale everywhere. The boy can't even keep hold of his blade. The story spreads. Everyone quotes it. Shame crushes you, you cry in the dark. Then your father comes, voice curt. If you fear disgrace, grip tighter next time. You grasp the lesson on a slips as easily as a knife, and only your hand can keep hold of it. From 6 to 9 you learn this above all. The community is a giant mirror. Every move you make, however small, is reflected, judged, and remembered. There is no private matter. The whole village knows when you fall, when you rise, when you hold your shield, when you let the fire die. That pressure forges you. You begin to act not just to survive, but to be remembered the right way. Each reward and each punishment is a brick laid into your selfhood. The sting on your skin fades, but the sound of laughter echoes. Bruises disappear, but the word brave stays. You sharpen yourself to become the image the village wants: a fighter who doesn't retreat, doesn't tremble, doesn't slip. By the end of this stage, you are not the quivering 6-year-old of that first day. You wear bruises like badges. You carry a small, quiet swagger when you hear praise. You keep your silence when you recall your failures. You understand now the Viking age needs no schoolhouse. Every game, every chore, every gaze from the community is the grand classroom. And you by now have passed the first course in a warrior's life: to fear disgrace, to hunger for renown, and to live beneath the sharp edge of public opinion. Part 3, fosterage sent away to grow. You've grown used to the small knife, the round shield, the jeers, and the tight-lipped nods back home. You think life will just keep rolling, swimming the cold river, minding the hearth in the smoke-black house. Stickball bruises stacking on your shins. But the Viking age doesn't let you remain your parents' child forever. Around 9 years old, society pushes you out of the family circle and flings you somewhere else into the house of an ally, a chieftain, or a family of higher standing. They call it fosterage, being sent out to be raised. It sounds like kindness, but in truth it's a chilly social contract. Your family isn't sending you away because they don't love you. They're anchoring their blood into a net of power. You're no longer only your parents' son or daughter. You're a hostage to honour a courier of relationship and a living gift that binds allies together. On the day you leave, you hear dogs bark, crows' roars rasp, smell the old kitchen smoke you know by heart. You glance back, the sooted roofline, your mother wiping tears, your father's face set hard. You understand you go not just to grow up, but to carry your clan's honour on your shoulders. From here you enter a new school, one of etiquette and networks. You walk the dirt lane, feet pressing damp mud, one hand gripping a small pouch with a few precious things, your short knife, the bone token carved with runes you earned when the village honoured you, and the little Mjolnir that hangs at your chest. Wind sneaks through the weave of your wool, the sea's smell rides it, waves whisper under your footsteps. You don't walk alone, your father keeps pace, a few villagers trail behind. Still your chest feels hollow. From today on, home is no longer singular. The house you reach is larger high plank walls, tight thatch above. Horses scream in the yard, straw and dung burn the nose. The master, broad-shouldered, steps out. He grips your father's hand, the shake is long, strong, heavy as an oath. No parchment, no ink, no signatures, just eyes, a nod, and you. You are the living contract. If the two houses betray one another, you are the one who pays. You step inside, heartbeat thudding. A new smell rushes you, pine that hasn't yet drunk too much smoke ropes of dried meat, the iron tang of weapons hanging on the wall. You're introduced. This is the child from the other house, now to be one of us. Faces turnway measure. No one says welcome. You will have to prove it. The first days are lessons in conduct. Do not sit until given leave. Do not eat until invited. When the master speaks, lower your gaze. When guests arrive, stand by quietly like a shadow. You learn to set a table, to pour mead, to hold just enough eye contact when adults argue. Tiny lessons, but they are the fine print of honour. If you stumble, your entire family's name slips. Daily duties follow. In the mornings, you go with the grooms to tend horses. You pitch straw, the sharp stink of manure clings to your hands, your back throbs. By noon you learn to mend sailcloth, thick woolen fabric heavy with salt. You pull lines, tie knots. Thorns and coarse fibres prick your fingers until they bead with blood. Evenings you stand watch, you sit on the porch, eyes on the dark ears, sorting every sound wind, hissing dogs, warning leaves scraping. You learn to tell breeze from footsteps, fox from man. Each night on watch is an exam. Nod off and your family's honour takes the blow. Though still young, you're pulled into formation drills. You line up with the other children, wooden shields in hand, Lutepanetius. The drum taps, the trainer barks, forward you step. Shields kiss wood on wood like the throb of war. You learn to read signals, horn, drum banner. On a battlefield, sound and colour are the only language. You begin to sense you're not training for yourself alone, but for the line, for the whole. At night, by the hearth, you hear new stories, not your clan sagas, but your foster houses. They're boasts of ancestors who slew enemies, held land, won a fight at some rocky bay. You swallow every detail. You know you're digesting an ally's identity. One day you may have to retell these tales as though you were born into them. Fosterage isn't just apprenticeship, it's diplomatic school for children. You are the living bridge. If you misbehave, your lineage is belittled. If you shine, your family's standing rises. You feel that weight every time an older gaze rests on you. You have no license to be just a child. You're a pocket-sized ambassador for a political bond. There's a slip you won't forget. One evening you drop a bowl while clearing the table. The crack rings, the hall goes still. Your face drains, your heart stops. The master's eyes go cold. No words, but repeat the sis, and they'll read it as the other house raises clumsy children. You bow, hands shaking as you sweep shards and swear never to do it again. Praise comes quietly when it comes. One afternoon, while checking the horses, you spot a loose tether. You call an adult. The herd is saved from bolting. A nod follows the soft verdict. This child notices things. The sentence ripples through the household. The next day their glances shift. You're no longer just a guest. You're becoming a part of this house. Homesickness still gnaws. You remember the old roof, the hearth smoke, your mother's voice. Fosterage teaches a harsher truth. Home is where your honour is tested. You no longer live for yourself alone. You live for two families now. Each action, each bow, each sleepless watch is a step along the road from your parent's child to a node in the network, a warrior woven into the Viking system of honour. You begin to map the hierarchy by the way people move. The master's wife signals with a glance. Servants flow. Visiting warriors lean their shields by rank. Their scars speak. You pick up the grammar, who pours first, who sits nearest fire, who speaks over whom. You learn when to offer a cup and when to vanish. You learn the art of hearing without staring, remembering, without repeating, obeying, without grovelling. These are not manners for nicety's sake. They are armour, soft armour that keeps alliances from cracking. Some afternoons are for craft. A smith lets you watch him set a rivet on a shield rim. Sparks spit, iron breathes. He lets you file a burr. You feel the rasps bite the line between dull and keen. You oil the wooden board, smelling tar and pine, and memorize how a shield should sound when it's right, not hollow, not dead, but with a spring to it like a drum that promises to answer a blow. Other days you go to the boathouse. Men test rigging. You coil line in figure eights. Not loops, loops, not under strain. You learn that a tangled rope at sea is a death sentence. You practice splicing, pricking your thumbs raw until the ends marry clean. A steersman taps your shoulder. Lines are language. Keep them tidy, keep them true. You nod because you can hear it. Tight line sings differently in the wind. Discipline is quieter here than at home, but sharper. No one shouts unless danger breathes. Corrections land like small knives, quick, exact, hard to forget. A woman overseeing stores teaches you counting not numbers on a tally stick alone, but weight in the hand. She drops a sack of grain into your arms and says, "Remember this pull." Then another slightly less. Name the difference. You guess. She says nothing. The next day you guess correctly and she murmurs, "Good." In this house, good is a medal. You also learn to faces who smiles with their mouth and who only with their eyes, who means the joke and who hides a blade in it. You mark the men who drink deep but never slur the ones who laugh too loudly, the one who never laughs at all. Fosterage trains more than muscle. It sharpens your reading of people. Out there, a misread gaze can cost a treaty or a life. On watch, one storm-bit night, you hear a rhythm under the wind, not branches, not fox. You stiffen whisper to the sentry and 3 men rise with spears. The shape resolves a neighbour's goat stupid and soaked. The men chuckle, but when the master hears, he nods at you in passing. He doesn't say, "Well done." He doesn't need to. The nod stakes you deeper into this place. There are festivals and formalities. At a winter feast, guests spill in. Benches groan. The hall glows. You carry trenchers, pour mead refill horns. Someone tests you with a sudden command. You turn the right way, offer the right cup to the right hand, step back the right distance. You don't know how your body knows repetition has carved paths into your legs. Later by the fire, 2 warriors arm wrestle wrists, straining table bucking. A hush falls, wagers fly. You don't join the shouting. You count breaths watching tendons, learning what strain looks like just before the turn. Knowledge here is muscle you keep inside. Spring loosens the land, work changes. You tramp fields, learn the house's boundaries. Which creek is truly theirs, which tree line the neighbours contest, which stone everyone swears is an old grave. Territory is story plus dirt. The master's son walks with you and says, "If a man crosses here without asking, we answer." You look at the ground and try to feel the line with your feet. Once a visiting boy sneers at your old cloak. The air thins. A circle opens as if by habit. You don't swing. You don't spit words. You keep your shield hand steady at your side and say, "My cloak is enough." The sneer slips. No fight today. That night the house school tosses you a crumb of a verse, something about the child who kept his blade sheathed and the snow white. It's nothing and everything. Songs travel. You feel your family name ride that line of rhyme. Foster siblings, other children sent from other houses become your mirror and your measure. The girl from upriver ties knots faster than you. You copy her hands. A boy from the headland can read gull flights and say where the herring push in. You learn to trust his gaze. You trade tricks, trade insults, trade small loyalties that may one day decide where a spear points. Mistakes still come. You overfill a horn. Mead spills on a guest's lap. The guest only laughs, but the steward's look cuts. You clean, slow, deliberate, like pulling a splinter, making a ceremony out of repair. A lesson welds in error isn't the end. Slack apology is. Fix it as if the whole hall is watching, because it is. Sometimes your father visits. He stands in the doorway larger than you remember. You rush to him and stop short because this is not your house to fling yourself across. He doesn't embrace you long either. He looks you over like a carpenter checking a beam straight, true seasoned, and then he trades news with the master while you pour. When he leaves, he squeezes your shoulder once. It says, "Hold fast." It also says, "You know I can't show more than this here." You carry that squeeze like a hot coal through the week. You gather small trophies, a new callus that doesn't tear a knot tied blindfolded. A glance from the master's wife when you anticipate her next move. You add them to your invisible hoard, the hoard that counts in this world competence noticed. Nights still end in story. Different voices, Different boasts the same spine. The steadfast live. The faithless rot. You memorize another family's names, victories, feuds. If someone tests you, who held the ford 3 winters ago, you answer, and the bench hums with approval. You're learning a second language allegiance. Every so often you take out the little bone rune at your neck. You thumb its edges and remember the village clap your father's nod. Then you slip it back under your tunic. Not because you're ashamed, because your medals must be quiet here. Quiet medals last longer. By the year's turn, the house smells like yours, the particular smoke the hides drying in the loft, the pitch the boatmen use. You know which board creaks in the passage, which dog will bark at a friend, which servant sings off-key when she thinks no one hears. You could walk to the gate blind and not miss the latch. And yet, when the wind comes from the old direction and it tastes like your first home, something in your chest rises hot and fierce, you swallow it. You've learned what fosterage truly is, not an exile, not adoption, but a forging. You're being hammered into the shape that fits 2 hands at once, your birth families and your foster families. One night, as snow starts to whisper at the door, the master raises his cup. He doesn't look at you when he says, "Some bonds are better than blood." The hall murmurs. He drinks. Later, as you bank the fire, you feel the sentence settle around your shoulders like a cloak you've earned. Fosterage is how the North stitches itself together, house to house, name to name, child to child. You arrived a pledge, you are leaving someday soon a thread. And when you return to your first roof, you will carry not only your parents' pride, but the weight and the shelter of a second house's honour. Part through. Fosterage daily. Duties. You think fosterage is just swapping houses, learning a few manners, then sitting still like an honourable hostage. Wrong. Being sent to another family means proving your worth every single day. No one gives you idle time. You become a working pair of hands, hauling straw, tending horses, mending sails, watching the gate. Every small task is an unspoken exam. Fail it and the laughter will travel all the way back to your home village. Do it well and the honour of both households shines brighter. At 9 or 10 you live on an adult schedule with no summer break. Dawn hasn't fully broken when they call you up. Cold mist slices your skin. You pull on your wool and step into the stable. The sharp reek hits you manure, straw, horse sweat. No one wrinkles a nose. This is the air you must breathe. You start dragging bales, small hands trembling, the stalks cutting your skin. Horses scream, hooves scrape the floor, breath steaming like smoke. You move closer, place your palm on a neck, coarse hair, live heat. Your chest tightens with fear, but you hold steady. Adults watch, waiting for you to flinch. If you pull your hand away, they'll laugh. Weak. If you stand firm, the horse lowers its head and snorts, and you learn master your fear to touch strength. You rake the stalls, straw whispering, muck thudding into the bucket. The smell hits straight up your nose, but you swallow it down. Blisters rise, your back aches. When it's done, an adult nods. You receive an invisible wage, a look that says you're counted. In summer, the whole settlement crowds the boats. The sail is as big as a house, thick wool, heavy with salt. You sit with the other kids, a needle as big as your finger, hemp cords stiff as iron. You thread pull, sweat drips down your brow. The needle forces through the cloth with a squeal. Shoulders burn, eyes blur, fingertips bead with blood. No one stops. One hole left unstitched. It's a storm that swallows a crew. You learn every single stitch is a boundary between life and death. When the sail hoists and wind fills the fresh patch, you watch it swell like a giant chest. Cloth booms, wind howls. You stand beneath, face lifted, and understand your small hands just sowed breath into the ship's lungs. The sun drags low red, spreading across the waves. You sit on the porch with a stick in hand, eyes on the dark. Cold leaks through your wool. You listen, leaves hiss. An owl calls, surf beats from far off. You sort what is natural from what is not. A dog barks, you jolt upright, heart hammering. It's only a fox slipping by. Still an adult nods, good ear. Night thickens, your eyelids sag, your head dips. but you remember the warning dozing on watch into household left to die. You pinch your arm, bite your lips, stay awake. Every watch is a silent battle. You learn the rarest skill: the survivor isn't the strongest, but the one who stays alert when everyone else sleeps. Every few months the master leads you and the other foster children to the bare field. He checks who hauls straw faster, who leads a horse cleaner, who stitches a sail neater, who keeps a sharper watch. The whole community watches. This is a public exam. Do well and praise rises. The honour of both houses echoes together. Fail and the jeers cut to deep. Parents in your home village will hear and bow their heads in shame. No one needs to remind you each tiny motion you make is tethered to your bloodline. Some days the needle slips. You punch straight into your own skin, blood spills. No one soothes you, they only say a sail lives when it's tasted blood. Some days you nod off on watch and are scolded in the open, standing under a house full of eyes, face burning, chest cracking. Some days you lead a nervous horse well and are praised. That night you get an extra slice of meat warmth spreading through your ribs like fire. You learn that punishments and rewards aren't objects. Punishment is laughter or the chill of silence. Reward is an approving look, a spare word, a reputation that spreads. Intangibles heavier than spear and sword. By 12 you are nothing like the shy 9-year-old who left home. You can tend horses, mend sails, keep watch. You know the fear surge in a stall, the sight of blood on cloth the length of a night outside. You are no longer merely your parents' child. You are a link in a chain of honour and labour. And in the eyes of the grown you've cleared the third trial. Fosterage has turned you from a child into a working member of a warrior society. Part 3. Fosterage. Learning from the older boys. After mornings reeking in the stables, afternoons tearing your hands on sailcloth, and nights swallowing darkness on watch, you think fosterage has taught you hardship enough. That was only groundwork. At 9 or 10, you're pulled into higher training, standing in the line, taking signals, moving as a piece of the team. Here, you're no longer the child darting around a game of Natalieka. You're a small brick in the shield wall. Beside you are the older brothers, youths past 16, forearms, roped eyes, severe. You must copy them footwork to breathing. Miss a beat and you'll be knocked loose, face first in the mud with the whole village laughing. Hit the beat and you fuse into the drum, the horn, the snap of the banner, and for the first time you feel it, you belong to a war machine. You stand on the open ground, clouds crowd the sky wind, whipping sea salt across the field. Mud and broken stones lie underfoot. In front of you a rank of 16 and 17-year-olds, big hard, already used to real steel. They are the older brothers you must mirror. They hold broad shields and long spears. At your side the younger fosters grip lighter shields and the wooden staves. Your heart thumps like a drum. A shout cracks the air. Form lines straighten. You fumble. Your shield sits crooked. The older boy beside you yanks your rim tight to his and growls, shoulder to shoulder. No gaps. You nod, cold sweat running. The drum begins slow, heavy. Forward. The whole line steps 1 foot, stamping mudflies. You nearly stumble, then catch the rhythm. Sweat slicks your back, your ears ring with the crash of shield on shield. You learn that the battlefield has no manual. There is only sound, drum, horn, shout. The trainer blows a long, low horn, beast-voiced. You must know 1 blast, it'll advance 2 as fall back. Drumming tightens equals press and hold. Banner snaps and change direction. The first time you flounder. The horn calls, you step wrong, you break rhythm and you pitch forward. Laughter rips through the onlookers. Your cheeks blaze. Next round you glue your eyes to the banner, your ears to the drum and slide into the count. Your body begins to know a battlefield is a score, and you are a note. The older boys let you stand wedged between 2 real shields. Their rims crush your shoulders, your chest can't fill. They move, you are shoved along. They stop, you nearly topple. You learn the line does not care if you ache. It will drag you forward or grind you down. Fail the rhythm and you're swept out. Merge with it, and you feel the power multiply tenfold. Mud spurts under marching feet, voices rise like surf, and you think this is a wall of iron and I am 1 link in the chain. An older boy teaches you the spear. The point must aim through the slot between two shields, neither high nor low. You tremble, the tip kisses dirt. Don't drop it, he snaps. You reset arm, quivering. You learn spacing thrust far enough to bite, not so far your shaft gets chopped, not so short you miss. It's a wordless, delicate art muscle and glance. Once you reach too deep, a yank pulls you off balance. You slam face first into mud. It floods your mouth salt and grit. You lurch up and file it away, forever overreaching, Isildur's dying. On a festival day, the whole community gathers to see the youths drill mock battle. You're brought out two posted in the second rank. The drum throbs, the banner dips, the line rolls forward. The horn keens, the front rank wheels. Ground trembles under massed feet, shields crash, shouting breaks like surf. You shake, but your chest swells. For the first time you feel yourself inside the war demo. Adults murmur, that boy catches the beat. That girl's shoulders loose. Nothing is hidden. You learn war leaves no shadows to hide in. You've been yanked from the line for losing time. The trainer stood you alone in the yard while the village laughed. Shame boiled your face. You bit your lip and swore never to miss a cue again. Another day you braced the line when mud turned to grease. An older boy slapped your shoulder and nodded. The feeling poured through you like sunlight. You understood forget medals, a nod is enough. Lying down, your ears still hum with the drum. Eyes closed, you see banners flick, horns flare. You dream of a real shield wall, sea spray in your face, an enemy ahead. You wake with your heart still racing. You understand this training isn't play. It's etched into your blood, setting you for the day that comes. From the older boys, you learn what warriors are made of. Not solo strength, but shared timing. Not swaggering blows, but kept formation. Not noise, but the ability to hear the drum beneath the noise. By 11 or 12, you feel to yourself become a part of a collective engine, where honour isn't in the lone strike, but in holding the line. You've crossed another threshold through fosterage. You step into the school of the formation, learning the language of war long before you ever learn to write. Part 3. Fosterage. You've learned to tend horses, mend sails and stand watch. You've stepped into formation, read the drum, watch the banners and match the older boys' pace. But there's another class quieter, burning in the dark, the class by the campfire. There you aren't only tested for stamina, you're loaded with a warrior's identity. Group tokens at your waist, whispered tales passed mouth to mouth. The steady gaze of your comrades, all of it weaves an invisible cloak, collective honour. From the moment you sit close to the flames, hear the wind howl and watch firelight sketch the faces around you. You know you're no longer a solitary child. You're part of a team, a story, an emblem. At night, after a long day, the older boys hand each of you a leather belt strip. Wear it, they say. The hide is rough, sour smelling, cinched tight at your waist. No ornament here, but when you glance around and see everyone wearing the same, a faint current runs through you, we are one. Another evening, they score a simple rune onto a small wooden tag for you. You tie it around your neck. It taps your breastbone when you run. It's a tiny sign, but enough that anyone can see at a glance which group you belong to, which network you're nested in. In Viking society, where all things hook into honour, a rune chip of wood is as useful as a passport and an ID rolled together. Some groups choose coloured armbands, red from berry dye, green from leaves. You knot the cloth, tree sap clings, the colour seeps into your skin. It feels like you've pulled on another hide, no longer just you but your group. Night deepens, wind howls beyond the porch. You sit in a circle, your face flushed by the flames, darkness pressed against your back. Smoke threads your hair, meat crackles at the edge of the coals. The older boys begin. Not funny stories, no. Stories of a fight at the bay, of a warrior going down, of a traitor driven from the village, of ancestors holding the shield wall to their last breath. You sit still, eyes fixed on the fire. The blaze mirrors in your pupils as if the ancestors are peering back through it. Word by word, image by image, the tale runs into your ears and your blood. You learn that a warrior's strength isn't only in the sword, but in the story told about him. Dying is not the terror. Being forgotten is. Once an older boy asks, "Who remembers last night's tale?" You tremble, then stammer through it. You miss a few details, the others snicker. The elder brother shakes his head. Shame burns your chest. After that, you train your memory word for word, detail by detail. This isn't a parlour game, it's brain drill for bearing the saga. By the fire, when the older boy says the line held well today, you see everyone's eyes brighten. The praise doesn't land on one person, it spreads evenly. You learn a new lesson: honour isn't only personal, it's shared. One weak link can shame the whole group. One strong link can lift everyone's name. Slowly you feel responsibility anchoring, not just to you, but to the shoulder pressed against yours. On a high wind night, the flames lean sideways, the gusts crying like horns. The older boy says, "Tomorrow if anyone asks, don't say you're tired. Don't say you're afraid. We are one and one does not fear." You nod, heart thudding. No one demands a blood oath. But the glow, the eyes, the smoke, all of it pulls a whisper from you. I won't leave a gap. I won't run. It's an invisible vow unheard by others, cut deep in your blood. Some nights the older boys fling a burning twig across the circle. If your slow hair singes, skin stings. Everyone laughs, no pity here. This is reflex school. You leap. Fire flashes by your ear. The smell of scorched hair bites. Your heart kicks and you laugh with the rest. Lesson: fire burns if you're late, but it hardens you if you're quick. Through nights like these, you stop thinking I, you think we, you tell group stories, show your rune tag, tug the armband at your wrist. You compare your crew with the next our line holds tighter. Our watch runs sharper. This is the foundation of a collective warrior identity. You're not only training for the battlefield, you're training to live and die inside the same story. By 12, you wear a rune at your neck, die on your arm, stories in your head. You've listened, retold, vowed, laughed, blushed, and burned with pride by the campfire. You're no longer a solitary foster child. You're a small warrior in a team, a piece of an emblem, a character stepping into the communal saga. Part 4, Early Teens and Real Weapons. At 12, no one calls you a child anymore. Your bones have lengthened, your shoulders have squared. Your hands are thick with callus. The community sees you differently. They don't laugh when you fall in the mud now. They expect you to rise with the eyes of someone about to become a warrior. This is a threshold foster child to youth, wooden staves to true steel. You remember that morning, sky-low and heavy wind slicing your cheeks. The trainer set something in your hand that wasn't a stick anymore. A real spear iron point, cold as winter, a long, rough shaft. In your other hand, he placed a larger shield, iron-rimmed, heavy as a little wall. You shook, your shoulders sagged, your heart hammered. This was not play. This was entry into the true language of war. From that day, you no longer trained to pretend. You trained to be ready to stand in the real line. Every stamp of the foot, every hammering clash of shield on shield, every spear tip levelled forward, each was a beat in a rite of passage, a Viking youth's first touch of fate. You grip the shield, thick planks, iron rim biting the metal smell, sharp in your nose. Your hand trembles, tendons stand out in your forearm, sweat beads despite the cold wind. Pressed to your chest, the shield covers nearly half your body. It feels like holding a door you can carry, not to stop the wind, to be a living wall. Stamp the trainer calls. You raise the shield and stamp your right foot. Ground bucks, dust kicks. 100 shields stamping at once boom like thunder. Your ribs vibrate. Fear skitters in your chest, but your ears lock onto the steady driving beat. One person with a shield is an individual. 10 in time become a monster. Keep it tight, no gaps. You roll your shoulder, the ache spreads. Your biceps tremble, but you hold. The trainer wraps the shield edge hard with a stick. Crack. Your wrist goes numb. You reel. He barks. If that was steel, you'd be dead. Hold. You bite down, raise the shield again. Every strike is a lightning bolt at the bones. Less than a shield isn't wood. It's your life. Then the spear. Long shaft, iron edge, winter cold. You lift. Your shoulder gnaws with strain. The trainer slots you into the rank. Shields close and spearheads nose through the gaps. Forward. The line creeps all at once. Ooh. A row of wolf teeth points ahead. Wind whistles along the iron. Sweat dampens your back. Each step sinks into mud. You fix the spear at chest height, tip true. Break shields. The ranks surge together. Shield on shield detonates in your ears. Your shoulder whiplashes, your chest locks. Stars pop behind your eyes. You grit, plant your feet drive. The line press's voices roar. For a moment you feel it a moving wall and you are a brick in its crush. Footwork comes next. No long strides. Short certain steps, weight dropped, heel and ball sharing load. Wrong steps you fall. Fall you die. Your nerves skitter, but your body starts to remember. When the line inches you inch. When it halts you freeze solid. Every count is a test. Once you overstep, your shield slides back, a hole yawns. A stick from the opposite rank shoots through and smashes your shoulder. You spill into the mud. Sour slime fills your nose. Laughter bursts from the crowd. Shame flares hot. You spring up, blood sliding from your nostril shield back high. The trainer nods. Good. You know the mistake and you stand. Lesson honour isn't lost by falling, only by staying down. Another day thrust practice. The trainer calls. The whole rank punches spears forward. Iron splits the air with a clean whift. The shaft shivers in your palm. Your wrist screams. Correction. Not too deep. In out. Reach too far and you lose the spear. Slow and you die. You repeat again and again, muscles, burning sweat, briny on your lips until the motion clicks into rhythm. For the last drill of the day, they set up a mock enemy line, shields braced. You and the other youths drive forward. Shouts explode, the drum rattles like hail. Shields slam, spearheads bite wood with a dry thock. You push, hands shake, shirt clings with sweat. Calves quiver, then the opposing line rocks backward. In the watcher's eyes you see fire. Heads dip in approval. Your heart lights. That night you lie down with the drum still thudding in your ears. Your skin still stings where the stick struck. Your shoulders still sag from the shield's pull. In your dreams you stand in a true wall, sea raging around you, wind flaying your face, an enemy screaming ahead. You raise your shield, level your spear, and you do not fall. Part 4: Early Teens and Real Weapons. People have put a wooden shield and a real spear in your hands and made you learn the cadence of the line. But the battlefield isn't only a shield wall. There are moments when the line fractures, when weapons drop, when two bodies collide head-on. Then all that's left is flesh, will, and the mud under your feet. So from 12 to 14 you're taught gleamer wrestling. The name sounds playful. The thing itself is survival class, keeping balance. When mud sucks at your heels, when hail stings, when an enemy clamps chest-to-chest hot breath in your face. You remember the first day. Foggy morning, wet ground grass sinking underfoot. The youths gather, a circle opens, the soil gets stamped into a slick black ring. You step in gut-tightening heart racing. Across from you stands your foster mate, half a head taller, broad-shouldered, eyes bright. The trainer snaps, lock up, hold your balance. You lay hands on his shoulders, sweat and damp wool, his breath rank and hot. The village goes silent, waiting. A shout you both drive in. Everything else vanishes, only impact remains. Shoulder smacks shoulder, knees punch earth. He throws you, your body wheels, sky and ground swap places. You hit face first in the mud-cold stench rushing up your nose. Laughter pops from the circle. Heat floods your cheeks, ears ring. Then the low voice. Up! You force yourself up, hands trembling, face smeared, and stand. For the first time you understand falling isn't as shameful as staying down. In the days after you learn Gleamer's blunt law, no punches, no clawing, only wrestling. But only wrestling isn't gentle. Arms wrap, the back legs hook, shoulders drive, hips turn. Every lift rips up turf. You learn to drop your centre, Keep your spine straight. Keep your eyes on the chest. Lose focus for a blink. Your legs are swept and you're in the dirt. Each fall etches a lesson into bone. One day rain dumps hard. The ring dissolves into a trough of mud. You and your opponent slip, can't find purchase, fall and rise and fall again. Each time you go down cold seeps through your tunic. Your heart clenches, but the roar around the circle burns like fire. You catch the older boy's eyes, a nod. You spring up and crash in again. This isn't play anymore. It's battle minus blood. You remember the first time you truly held your balance. He tugged to pull you off your post. You stiffened feet drilled in back a wooden post. Sweat stung your eyes, but you didn't drop. Then you turned your hips, loaded the push. He went over, flat, earth flying a sharp oof. The ring exploded. You stood heaving, legs buzzing, but your heart blazed. That first clean throw stays with you for life. Gleamer teaches more than technique. It trains you to endure public humiliation. Thrown into mud before the whole village laughed at, pointed at. You want to sink into the ground, but you don't get to. You wipe your face, stand up and step back inside the ring. You learn honour isn't lost when you fall. It's lost when you walk away. It also teaches fear control when your opponent clamps tight breath, scalding your neck chest. Compressed, heart-hammering, brain shrieking. Quit, you remember. When afraid, keep your balance. You brace, pack your breath, low, pop your hips, and slip free. Fear evaporates like smoke. Real strength isn't just muscle, it's the will that won't unclench. Some sessions run on slick rocks by the sea. Wind lashes spray slap stone greased with weed. You clinch and slide, your hips smack stone white hot pain. Far off a horn cries, reminding you the field might be a shoreline, and the one who doesn't rise gets dragged by the waves. You grind your feet down, fingers clawing for grip, legs braced. You look up at grey sky and cutting wind and understand this is rehearsal for the real thing. At night your body blooms with bruises. Skin burns, muscles throb. But in sleep you see yourself throwing an enemy standing above him as the ring erupts. You wake with salt on your lips and your heart still galloping. You know Gleamer has carved a warrior's grain into you. At 13, 14, you're no longer the child who cried in the mud. You're a youth body, toughened eyes on fire. You've learned balance on slick ground, in rain, on rock, in shame, and in fear. You understand Vikings don't wait to grow up to learn fighting. They start with mud bone and will before the beard comes in. At 12, they've already put a shield and spear in your hands and forced you to march in step with the line. But the field has moments when the wall breaks, the spear drops, the drum loses time. What's left is two bodies caked in mud and a will that refuses to die. From now on, you're hurled into Gleamer wrestling. Don't let the playful name fool you. This is the class of centre of gravity of breath, of the fear of having your face ground into earth before the entire village. If the shield is the outer wall, Gleamer is the inner one, the wall of spirit. Keeping balance here is keeping balance between life and disgrace. The highest level isn't toppling someone, it's refusing to collapse when the mud itself drags you down. A grey morning, fog droops like a wet curtain. The yard behind the village has been stamped into a dark brown circle, slick as grease. You stand barefoot on freezing ground mud seeping between your toes. Your breath smokes. Across from you, your foster mate, half a head taller shoulders, flared eyes wide and bright. He inhales. His chest swells like a bellows. The trainer rope-braided hair, a pale scar along his neck, steps in and says flatly, hands on, hips low, eyes on the chest. Anyone with a rounded back loses. He steps back. The ring hushes into a silence you can hear, like when the sea draws off and leaves a bare wet reef and your heartbeat. A clipped command, go. You collide like two waterlogged logs. Damp wool sweat and the rank of mud punch your nose. Your arms snake around his back. His forearm cinches your waist. Cold bites your lower back. Your thighs tremble. He pops his hips, dragging you offline. The world teeters, you remember center. You sink calves biting hamstrings, pulled like bowstrings. Your weight shifts from heel to ball to hip balance. Resets for the one breath you need. He switches hooks behind your heel. You feel empty space yawning behind you. In that thin instant, you choose not to retreat till you drive. Your shoulder buries in his sternum. Your forearm wedges his elbow. Your hips turn, his frame tilts. But mud betrays you both. Your soul skates. Your grip slips. You flop forward like a sack. Face first into cold muck, bubbles crackle by your ear. The ring laughs not cruelly, but acknowledging you went all in. The trainer doesn't haul you up. He says one word, up. You plant your hands as slime threads between your fingers. You raise your head. Mud rivers down your cheeks. Your opponent sticks out a hand, not to pull you up, but to thank you for the honest clash. You stand on your own brush off what won't brush off and step back in. Next time you enter a heartbeat slower, not from fear, but to listen to the ground slip its give the mud's breath. Gleamer teaches a language with no script, hip angles, shoulder openings the instant to shift your weight. The trainer pads around the ring, bare feet thumping taps your heel. Place it like this and you're begging to fall. He nudges your heel half a hand's breadth. Suddenly your back straightens, your core locks like a plank. You inhale through your nose, drop the breath to your belly, exhale short through your mouth, ribs firm. Breath becomes a guard, your lungs don't wobble, your frame doesn't sway. Your opponent squeezes and you don't lose your axis. You learn the doors on another body, the pocket behind the elbow, the outside of the knee, the pelvic edge when hips rise above shoulders. They open for a blink, then shut. You keep your eyes pinned to his chest, but see with your arms. Muscle twitches under skin like fish in a net telegraphing intent. His biceps clench, you drop. His shoulders slacken, you turn your hips. Small shifts, just enough to keep your feet. Bit by bit you grasp. Gleamer is the art of not throwing of standing longer than the other man. Afternoon turns iron dark. Wind carries sea salt into the ring. Fat first drops, then a lash sheets of cold rain. No postponement. On the day weather's worse, the trainer says. The ring tightens up. Ground becomes a sliding basin. Water seeps from the low side. Your opponent slips but doesn't fall. He folds his knees. Toes clawing mud hip, swivel grip reverses. You pitch, but remember to lean with it, go light. Let the hold sluice off. Shoulder to shoulder. You feel his scapula skate under soaked wool. He snarls and dumps his weight. Your vision dims a beat. Rain needles your eyelids. Instinct says, let go. The trainer's shout cuts the downpour. Do not back away. You who push breath from your belly, thread your arm deeper behind his back, plant your toes and drive the line, foot to knee, to hips to spine like a wedge. He tilts. Both of you pant motionless for a breathwater, and mud streaming down your thighs. The ring answers with a collective grunt of approval, the sound reserved for a clean momentum shift in open rain. You don't win at once. In truth, the first week you lose more than you win. Each time your back slaps ground thwop mud freckles the front row. Some laugh, some shake their heads. Heat riots in your face. Gleamer forces you to swallow a bitter medicine called public shame. Here failure isn't hidden in corners, it's dragged into the light to hone you sharp again. You learn an iron rule. The one whose stomach is shame and steps back into the ring is winning the slow way. Today's humiliation is tomorrow's new skin. A strange drill standing still. No throws, no trips, just you in rain and mud, arms hugging air, back straight hips, low eyes, soft on nothing. Quads tremble, calves burn, sweat mingles with rain. The trainer circles, tapping your shoulder to test the axis. 5 minutes. 10. Until your legs feel borrowed. Good, he says, now wrestle. You engage, and somehow you're light. The ground springs. He yanks you stay. In that instant, you know Gleamer isn't about throwing. It's about standing 1 beat longer than the other man. 1 beat can change a fate. A rare still day, fog lifts low, soil drier than usual. Across from you stands the boy who planted you face first twice last week. No rain now, only 2 breaths and a crow on a post. You enter first not like a bundle hurled, but like a glide. Shoulder touches, shin hooks behind his heel, your hips lock across his. In a blink, you see his back arch. You push turn, tug, a 3-beat sequence your body recalls without thinking. He pops off axis, lands heavy. Dry dust sprays. The ring gives a long oh. You don't leap. You breathe long and slow to keep your heart from splintering its rhythm. The trainer steps over. He doesn't smile. He nods. A nod the size of a salt grain, but salty enough to sting your first true takedown by technique, not lucky slip. After grappling, they teach you to oil bruises, to wrap hot cold with damp wool to stretch hamstrings so you can plant tomorrow. They tell you about being 12 faces pushed into mud 10 times laughter, so loud it made them want to vanish. But they stood up. You see the forearm ropes, the knee scars, the unblinking eyes, and you understand Gleamer doesn't choose the strong. It chooses the ones who return to the circle after being thrown out. A morning of false blue sky, the sea flat as a mirror. Everyone knows calm is a trap. The trainer marches you to the rocky cove, stone furred with weed, salt licking the edges, small waves clapping bop bop like laughter. He points here today, no picking dry spots. The battlefield never dries for you. You swallow. Bare souls meet stone cold slick oiled. Your opponent locks on. Salt stings your nose. Both of you slide. Your hands skid off his shoulders. Your hip bangs rock knife pain. Stars. Blood salts your tongue where you bit your lip. No pause. Up. The trainers shout. You stagger upright knees, shaking shoulder. Searing, but you stand. The ring is silent. That silence weighs more than laughter. You understand here if you can stand, you've already beaten the sea. Next pass, you change tack. Instead of fighting for a dry grip, you let it slide. When he squeezes, you tip with it slipping out like water. Rock scrapes roar, but you don't sprawl. You learn too rigid, and you snap. Slickness survives. Another day, the older boys teach the harshest drill air denial. Your opponent loops an arm around your neck and mashes your face to his chest. Not pain pressure. Breath disappears. Vision tunnels. Panic claws. Your hands flail. The trainer barks. No panic. Belly breathe. You remember drop the breath. Low open. The knees roll the hips. Thread your hand through the tiny pocket under his armpit. Suddenly you slip free. Collapse sideways. Gulp fire. The world brightens. The ring exhales. You shake and laugh because you didn't die. You learn Gleamer isn't only about beating him. It's about not letting yourself die in his hands. Summer village feast. Flags ring the ground, roasted meat scents, the air drums pound. A big circle goes up, foster groups divided. You and your mates step in stomachs fluttering. Opposite a crew from the next village, taller, wider eyes blazing. The crowd packs in, the noise rolls like thunder. This isn't private drill, it's a stage. You crash in. Shoulder-to-shoulder arms, at hips, legs scything. Each dump tosses mud like fireworks. Roars, howls, laughter tangle. You get slammed once, face into wet earth. Up they shout. You launch eyes lit. Next pass, you keep axis. Sit your hips low, flick a clean turn, and the heavier boy drops. Dust explodes. The cheer breaks against the hills. You pant, but your foster father's nod outside the ring has already landed. That nod is gold. Gleamer makes you taste public shame, and then, for the first time, real pride. You know the sting of laughter with mud on your face and the boom of the ring when you hold your axis one beat longer. Both carve into your bones, teaching you this to live Viking is to endure enough shame that when pride finally arrives, you know what it cost. You look at yourself, the 9-year-old is now 14. Hard shoulders, bright eyes, bruises along the arm, a small scar on the knee. You're no longer afraid of the mud circle. You step in, breathe, deep fold forward ready. You understand Gleamer isn't a pastime, it's a hidden rite of passage. No one hands you a sword after one bout, but in the elder's eyes another mark has been cut. This boy can fall and rise. He can breathe. He can hold his balance. He can take his place in the wall. At last night you stretch out on furs, body spent, sweat salty. In your head you still hear the smack of shoulder on shoulder, the rings roar. You dream of the real thing, mud, rain, slick stone, and enemy clinched tight. You turn your hips, keep your axis, and he goes down. You wake with your heart hammering and recognize the truth. Gleamer has carried you from a shaking child to a youth who can bear the weight of another person, of a community of fate. Part 4. Early Teens and Real Weapons. You can hold the line and you've wrestled Gleamer until you're black and blue, but one door is still shut, the longship. On land, you can fall in the mud and stand back up. At sea, a single bad fall can swallow a life. At 12-13, you step aboard for the first time, not to play, but to serve as a real hand, 1 oar, 1 bench, 1 watch, 1 ration of dried fish. This isn't a puddle race from childhood. This is shipboard discipline, 4-hour blocks day and night, repeating no school bell, no summer break. You sit among dozens, backs to backs, and it hits you. From now on, your rhythm is chained to drumbeat surf and the helmsman's eye. They assign you to the 12th oar near midships. The oar is almost as long as your oak and heavy resin sharp in your nose. Your hands shake when you take it. The blade is cold with the sea wet. The coxswain calls time. The bow drum answers low even. You drop the blade, pull, arms, tring tight. Your back draws, your belly locks. The oar splits water with a dull hum. White stray feathers up. Beat 2-3-10. Your shoulders start to burn. Skin blisters as your palms slide on the rough shaft. Bubbles rise. Salt stings your face to your lips crack. The drum doesn't stop. If you stop, your oar will kick the timing to pieces. Eyes on either side cut toward you, knife cold. You grit your teeth and pull again, heart pounding. You understand on a boat there is no eye-only time. You've heard the elders say the oars are the ship's spine. Now you feel it. Each stroke is a vertebra. Break one, the whole back breaks. You sit in the living machine wood, creaking, drum-thudding, waves, slapping, and feel yourself a single link in a wooden beast sliding over water. No more foster a child, no more Gleamer kid. You're all 12, and if you're weak, the sea dragon stumbles. Just when you think you'll die from it, the shout comes, relieve, 4 hours gone. Your body's wrecked, shoulders burning, hands bleeding. You edge off the bench, legs numb. Another slides in, no wasted heartbeats. You crawl to the rest space. Glance around, every face burned out, sweat salt, dried white on wool. A day aboard is chopped into 4-hour chunks. No sunrise, no sunset, only your watch. The trainer's rule is simple. Sleep when you can eat when you get it, row when it's your turn. That's the whole philosophy. You lie amidships, back on damp planks, cold soaking up from below, bones aching. Your eyes sag and the call snaps back. Time you spring up without thinking. Fingers find the oar again, blisters tear, blood mixes with salt and bites. You don't stop, you pull. 4 hours leads to 4 more. Life at sea is exactly that. Part 4. Early Teens and Real Weapons ages 12 to 14. When the drum quits, you don't get a spread. You get a hunk of dried fish, a fist of salted oats, sometimes a chip of butter hard as stone. Your teeth rasp the fish crackly rank with sea. You chew slow, throat parched, but the water cask is only sour damp wood. You gulp, tasting rot soft timber. The order barks. Back to time you swallow fast, your stomach sits heavy. Eating here isn't to feel full. It's to survive the next strokes. Sometimes there's sheep tallow barely rendered over coals in an iron pot. The scorched stink runs the hull, tangling with sweat, fish and salt. You gag and crave at once. You learn to swallow anything, because if you don't swallow, you can't row. And if you can't row, you're dead weight. On a Viking ship, dead weight is never forgiven. Rest time brings no bed. You curl between rowing benches, knees tucked, because there's no room. Wood is cold and wet. Your back throbs. Sea wind threads the plank seams raw salty. Moonlight paints the faces of the other hands in silver. All eyes shut. Salt frost on skin. Fists still curled around oar handles as if afraid to lose them. The hull talks, old bones creaking. Water thumps like a heartbeat. You try to sleep, but the roll never ends. Muscles ache, Heart drums, the ghost of that beat still knocks in your ears. The moment you drift, timer, you lurch up, eyes burning, and take the bench. Lesson learned: sleep when you can, wake when you must, and nobody cares that you're tired. Once you doze too deep in your off-watch and come up slow when called, you miss a beat. The rower beside you jerks you upright, eyes lit like fire. One late breath and the whole boat slips. You understand, at sea a child's nap can drag 10 people under. Rain sheets, wind screams, the hull lurches, the oar doubles its weight. You're sure your arms will tear. Then you glance sideways, the older boy still pulls rain and sweat as one eye's locked on the waves. You bite down and match him. At last the drum halts. The helmsman shouts, "Good!" Today the boat lived because you held the time. Chests heave, chins lift. No prizes here, only the boat still afloat. That nod is enough. Another day a boy drops mid-stroke, hands opening. His oar clatters, water floods. The helmsman hauls him up and roars, "You nearly drowned us." He cries. No one comforts him. Days later the tale runs through the village. That boy is weak. Among Vikings, weakness on the oar is a stain that won't wash. You shiver and swear, you may fall, you may bleed, but you will not drop the beat. After your first season, your body is changed. Shoulders wider, hands thickened back, hard as timber. More important is your head. You've learnt the 4-hour rhythm, eating in brine stink, sleeping in cold damp, pulling in at exhaustion, staying alert in a fog of half sleep. You've learnt the boat is not a toy. It's a school of honour. Every stroke is a vow. Every drumbeat is an order not to break. At 13, you've become a living part of the Sea Dragon, a link in the harshest machine the Viking world runs. Part 4, Early Teens and Real Weapons Ages. 12 to 14. After glimmer and oar watches that slice your muscles raw, you think you've paid enough. Not yet. All that strength is worthless if you ever show your back in a fight. At 13-14, they pound into your skull a law unwritten and heavier than any weapon: no retreat without cause, no abandoning the rear. Vikings don't print manuals or hang slogans, they teach with looks, with stories, and with public shame. From now on, honour isn't abstract, it's welded to every breath you take under the shield. The trainer starts with a strange drill. He sets a rank of youths and hands each a shield. Forward, the line in cheers. Halt, all lock. Then he barks, "Turn your backs." Instinct screams, "Spin away." But the older boys ringed outside hurl wooden sticks. A single shoulder twitches crack across a spine, and he goes. Laughter follows. Not merry laughter, contempt. The trainer carves each word like runes in stone. A back turned is a man dead. A back turn drags the line to death. They run the drill again and again. Sweat chills your back, you shake but you never dare turn. A blow to the face you could take, a blow to the back brands you a traitor to the wall. You learn the worst sound isn't the hit, it's the spit behind you. He turned. That night by the hearth, they tell it again, a young warrior once ran at Hafrsfjord. He lived, but no one let him share a bench after. His name was kept from the saga. He aged alone and died in hush. The teller ends, better to die in the line than live turned. It's no distant epicure, it's a personal threat. You swallow, stare into the flame and see your own back in it. Next day brings a drill on guarding the rear. A boy goes down by design. The trainer roars. Anyone who leaves him lies out of the line tomorrow. You drop to haul him up. He's heavy. Mud sucks. Your legs shake. But when both of you stand, the whole rank drums, shields. Your chest swells. No one will remember points scored, but everyone saw you didn't leave a man. For the first time you feel the force of the hidden law. Personal honour only matters when it locks into the honour of the group. Part 4. The Code of Honour. A grey, rainy morning. The trainer gathers the youths before the village. He points. This rank hold the shields. That rank press. Drumbeats rise, ground slickens, mud flies. You brace the shield, your shoulder burns. Then the boy beside you quivers and steps back. A gap opens. Instantly, an older youth lunges, drives a staff through the hole. The whole rank buckles. The outer ring erupts. The trainer points at the boy who stepped back. He dragged the team to its death. The boy stands frozen face streaked with mud. Laughter lashes like a whip. No one comforts him. That is the supreme punishment, public disgrace. You watch heart iced over. You understand better to go down face first than to be carved into memory as the one who backed away. Moonless night wind keening. The trainer leads your group out to the fields. No shields, no spears, just backs touching backs in a circle. He barks, "Tonight the wolves will come. Anyone who leaves their post won't stand in the line tomorrow." The older youths howl from the dark and charge staves cracking. You shake ready to bolt, but your teammate's breath warms your spine. If you slip, he falls. You grit, plant your feet. A staff whips your shoulder, pain flares, you hold. That night you learn refusing to retreat means protecting the back behind you even while the dark circles close. Winter feast. Everyone crowds the blaze. The elder rises, voice sanded rough. Who here swears not to turn under blows, who swears to guard the rear. All the youths you included raise your hands and grip the shield hung before you. Firelight flickers, catches in your eyes. You whisper, "I will not break the line. I will not abandon a friend. I will not retreat without cause." No parchment, no ceremony. A life and death vow etched into bone. From that night when you step into the wall, you think not of yourself, but of shoulder to shoulder, back to back. After that, every drill, every game, every rowing watch is threaded by an unseen cord, the law of honour. If you drop a shield, all see it. If you fall, all see it. But if you rise and hold your post, the gaze of the village shifts. No gifts, no trophies, only a quiet consent, a measured nod. In Viking society, that nod is real armour. By 14, you know the weight of shoulder on shoulder, back brace to back, breath soaring in the line. You know the cost of a single backward step. You also know the strange sweetness of the village's recognition when you hold. You are no longer the child trembling in the gleamer circle. You wear an invisible cloak called honour. It weighs more than a shield and shields better than any iron. From now on, your life won't be measured in years, but in the number of times you held the line without giving ground. Part 5. Rite of Passage. At 16, youth no longer covers you. Bone-set muscle showing your eyes changed. The community calls you out before the hearth, the harbour, the meadow where everyone can see. No one cares that you're shaking. This is no game. This is recognition, the right that turns you from a family's child into the community's warrior. You'll be given your first weapons, not wood or practice stays, real steel or real shield. With them you will speak an oath, keep honour, hold the line, keep the fire. Break it and not only you but your whole lineage will be shamed. Keep it and you enter the ranks fit to raid, to guard the pier, to die in battle and be named in the saga. Dawn whites the fields with mist. They summon you out, new wool tunic, bare hands, the old Mjolnir at your chest. Your chest swells, but your heart shakes. The community has gathered broad-shouldered men, women with children on hip. The elder in front, eyes narrowed by smoke. The drum beats slow like the village heart. You step forward, earth, wet feet, cold every eye on you. The trainer, the one who taught you shield, spear gleamer, steps out holding a real spear. Long shaft, iron head flashing in new light. He lifts it high and says, "A boy becomes a man." A low rumble ripples the crowd. You kneel. He lays the spear in your hands. The haft is cold heavy, nothing like a practice stave. Your fingers tremble. You clamp down. Steel kisses skin, and your blood runs faster. Sweat beads, breath tightens. It's no longer a training tool. It is the thing that decides life and death. Another elder brings a shield round thick planks. Iron rim, a face cut with runes. He hands it to you. Your shoulder dips under its weight. You lift. It's a small wall. The crowd waits to see if you'll shake. Your hands burn and muscles knot. You press it to your chest. In that instant you feel both protected and bound. This shield won't only stop a blow, it must also stop the disgrace if you let it fall. The elder raises his hand. Speak. You feel your lungs, ribcage aching, and answer shaky but clear. I swear not to leave the line while my comrades stand. I swear to keep the fire while the household sleeps. I swear to guard the landing and the honour of my kin. If I fail, let my name be forgotten in the saga. If I keep it, may my name be told by the fire. Silence holds for a beat, then shields thunder. The sound slams your chest. Your ears ring. Eyes sting mouth. Smiles. The threshold is crossed. From today you're no longer a pupil, you're a green warrior with real weapons and a real vow. After the oath, the community breaks like storm water. Shields rap, cheers crest. You stand in the ring, spear still in hand, shield pressed close, sweat beading, legs shaking. But in their eyes you're different, not a child anymore. Someone wearing a man's duty. Meat comes off the fire. Mead is poured. You're given the first gulp of your life. Sweet bitter heat slides down, lighting your belly. Old men, clap your shoulder. From this day you have a seat at the bench and a place in the wall. Laughter, singing. Under the noise you hear it clearly. Each cup and cut of meat is the price of your vow. To drink is to accept you may die for honour. No sleeping it off. The trainer takes you and a handful of new youths to the riverbank. Spring water blades the air, flows still bob. He points cross, no running, no turning back. Anyone who falls short has not come of age. You grit and step in, current shoves, cold bites to the marrow. Skin burns, heart clamps. Your friends shake, two lips blue. Still all of you move feet sucked by mudstones, slicing your souls. You pitch forward, swallow a fist of ice water, cough hard, but surface shield clutched high. You crawl onto the far bank, gasping, shaking. The trainer nods. Now, I believe. You understand an oath isn't only spoken, it must be washed in cold water and blood from your feet. That night, your first post the landing. You sit alone in the wind. The longship lies black as a sleeping dragon. Your eyes fix on the dark. Your ears stretch for surf wind, a twig's crack. Each sound tightens your grip. Your heart kicks, but you don't leave the spot. When dawn pales, the captain finds you still upright, eyes red from lost sleep. He nods. No praise, but that nod is everything. From now on your name counts as one who keeps the pier. Next day you walk the lanes. The looks have changed. Children watch you, like they watch the older boys. The old give faint smiles. Women nod. No one speaks, but in their eyes he's a man now. Inside a mixed-weight joy and a chain. From now on, every step you take is tied to the community's honour. You cannot go back to being a child. You sit by the fire and glance at the spear propped in the corner, the shield hung on the wall. At your chest, the old Mjolnir still swings, but beside it, the fresh red scar the river left. You touch it, stinging real. You whisper to yourself, I have taken my place. Firelight stretches your shadow longer, taller, as if to say childhood is over. The warrior's years begin. Part 5. Trial. The long day at sea. At 16, you think the recognition shield and spear means the work is done, that you are now a warrior. Vikings don't trust titles. Steel in your hands is only form. The community must see you endure a day that breaks the week, the long day at sea. They call it something so plain, but anyone who's done it knows it's longer than childhood, longer than any saga. A day afloat isn't measured by sunrise and sunset, but by strokes of the oar brine-burned breaths, blisters tearing open. This isn't a casual outing. It's a collective exam. If you stop, the ship stops. If you fold, your family's honour folds with you. When the first drumbeat lands, you grasp it at once. You're no longer the village child, not yet a finished warrior either. You're a youth thrown into the sea's forge where wind and creaking timber will ask, are you worthy? There's only one answer written in hand blood, and salt sweat keep pulling until the sun eats the sky. Early light. Sea skinned with mist. The longship crouches like a wooden dragon beast head prow glaring hard at the waves. You climb aboard. Bare soles kiss cold damp oak. Weight sets the ribs groaning. Sack stink of dried fish wet hide, reek of the sail-fresh pitch in the seams. Everything braids with the salt wind. You swallow, your heart kicks. The coxswain stands at the bow with a hide drum, his eyes a spear keen. "Sit," he snaps. You drop to the 12th bench mid-line. Your palm meets an oar nearly as long as you are rough-grained cold. Your skin hardens on contact. The rowers left and right glance without a word. Their eyes say, "Don't break the time." The first beat booms low, final. You draw. The water's weight drags your arms. Shoulder heaves back, locks, gut tightens. Second beat. Third, the longship gathers way, skating the swells. Water hisses, foam feathers white. Breath soars, heart sinks to the drum. From that instant you are not an individual. You are one stroke in the sea dragon's body. Sun climbs glare, flashing on the water like heated steel. Your back scorches, sweat slicks your brow. A north wind soars at your skin raw cold. You're hot and cold at once, your body can't find the middle. With each pull, skin bubbles on your palms. By the third hour the bubbles burst. Blood seeps, salt bites like fire. You clamp your jaw and pull. The boy next to you dry heaves, face green. He pitches forward and vomits, sour reek rising. The coxswain doesn't call a halt, doesn't pity. The drum holds steady, unerring. The boy wipes his mouth, eyes red, and grips his oar again. You watch and learn, even shame can't buy you a missed beat. 4 hours pass. You aren't sure you're breathing. Sweat burns your eyes, arms shake, every pull lifts a stone. The drum keeps on. You don't dare stop. Stopping would betray the line. And in this world, betrayal is worse than death. The sun reddens and bleeds down. Light spreads like thin blood on the sea. You're still at the bench, shoulders knifed with pain, spine bowed, heart tearing. Your hands are bone and blood. Each stroke drags the shaft across the ragged skin, pain to the marrow. You pant, mouth dry, lips cracked. In your head only 2 words, pull, pull. The coxswain calls, the drum quickens, the hull shudders, seas slap, spray explodes. Thought empties. You're a machine hearing the drum and pulling. Faces around you shine with sweat and fury-red eyes. In them you see yourself not teenagers, puppets of time. At last, when dark thickens, the drum stops. A clean silence cuts the world. You let the oar slide, your hands hanker. Blood drips and smears in the brine. Your chest bucks. Vision fuzzes. Head sings. But you're still upright. A thin cheer rises. Not joy, but acknowledgement. We made it. The coxswain taps the drum 3 short times. Enough. His gaze sweeps the benches and lands on you. He gives one small nod. No praise, enough praise. You've passed your first long day at sea. From now on, when people see the split callus on your palm, they'll know this boy rowed a full day and never broke time, in a Viking community that mark is louder than words. Part 5. Rite of Passage. After the long day at sea, you think your body is finished. The community doesn't let you rest. One morning they call you to the bay. Fog, still thick wind, screaming water slapping the hulls. The captain stands on the sand, voice low. Today we raid. No blood, but treat it as real. Anyone who breaks the line isn't grown. You stand in the shield wall, face set, grip tight. The drum swells deep solemn. The boats surge for shore. Prows bite sand. The line jumps out water, knifing up to your thighs, ice cold. You yell, part rhythm, part fear. Mud sucks, rocks slick, but you push shield to chest, spear levelled. The beat accelerates. The line drives up the dune. From the defenders above older boys, with wooden staves playing the enemy, comes a roar. Impact, shield on shield, sticks cracking like whips. Your shoulder goes numb, your chest locks. You punch the spear through a gap, hear a dry clack. They give ground, you press. A staff bites your thigh, white pain, but you hold. Your rank stays tight, paws weight forward and finally splits the defence. The crowd erupts, but all you hear is heart and ragged breath. Sweat runs salt into your mouth. You understand a raid isn't play. It's proof you'll slam a steel wall and keep your feet. You drop to a knee on the sand, hands shaking. The captain nods once. Good, you held the line. No other reward, oh yes. But that nod straightens your spine. You've just lived through your first make-believe raid that isn't make-believe at all. Winterlow, sun-thin light, north wind cutting like a blade. They summon you and the other youths to the riverbank. Black water, a skin of white ice, the crackle of fractures like bones breaking. The trainer says it plain across. You tremble, breath turns to smoke, chest tight. You step down. Ice groans rack long and hollow. Your feet plunge into water so cold it's 1,000 needles. You gulp, teeth chattering, and keep going. Wind knifes, ice plates shatter. Water slaps your shins, your thighs. Your skin flares red and goes numb. Your heart hammers. Your mind empties. Each step is a fight with your own body. The boy beside you yelps, foot drops, he spills forward. You seize his arm and yank. Both of you stagger but move on. The line slows and still no one turns back. Midstream water climbs, your chest goes dead cold. Air won't come, lungs burn like fire. You remember the vow, never turn your back. You clamp your jaw and take another step. You hit the far bank and full skin-blued breath rattle it. The adults are waiting, thick furs thrown over your shoulders. You shake teeth rattling like dice and your heart soars. You've come through the coldest rite. The trainer's voice cuts like ice. Those who cross are groan. Those who stop mid-river are erased from the saga. You sit by the hearth, skin still mottled, purple, hands still weeping a little blood, but your eyes are different. You've rowed a whole day, stormed a mock beach, crossed a frozen river. You've learned honour doesn't live in words, but in breath, in muscle, in the will that won't turn around. The community looks at you without speaking, and their eyes say he's grown. From that day, you're no longer a youth. You're a young warrior. When the saga tells of this year, it will name you. And if one day you fall in the wall, someone will say, he rode the long day he raided. He crossed the ice. He died as he swore. Part 5. Rite of Passage. You've stood through recognition, tasted your first mouthful of mead as a new-made warrior. You've passed the long sea day, the simulated raid, the winter river. But all those performances lead to a quieter task, less dramatic, more important, guarding the landing. Vikings have no high city walls, no standing army. Their fort is their boats, their grain, their stock, and the rough timber pier where sea dragons sleep. The landing is the village's throat, hold it, and the village lives. Lose it, and the village dies. From 16 on they put you there. No practice drill, no rallying drum, just long cold nights, watchful dark, and a responsibility you can't lift with your hands. They give you a spear, a shield, and a place to stand. No applause, no sung verse. Only owl. From now on you keep the landing, and you step into your first night, sea wind stinging your face, a patchwork moon lying on the waves, your heart racing. You understand never turn your back isn't a fireside slogan anymore. It's the watch in the wind where one nod of sleep could cost the village everything. The pier is hushed. Long ships lie in rows, dragon heads, reared shadows, black on the water. Ropes creak and rasp, folded sails tick as they dry. You stand barefoot on wet planks, cold climbs from your toes into your chest. Fish dry pitch and raw salt mix on the air. You hit your wool hire hand on the spear shield propped at your leg. Your ears stretch thin, surf thuds and laps. Wind moans through the masts. In the noise you sift for other sounds, a stranger's oar, a footpad's step, a knife's quick tear in cloth. Every sound feels like a herald of ruin. The night drags. Your eyes droop. Your head dips. You pinch your arm, bite your lip, even dunk your feet in the eddy at the pilings to stay awake. Water scalds with cold, but it keeps your gaze open. You remember the warning, one sleeping watch or one burned village. Past midnight you start to see things that may not be there. Boat shadows ripple into human shapes. A crow's rasp sounds like a howl. Every falling leaf jerks your heart. The dark feels watched and watching back. You shake cold sweat down your spine and stay on post. You learn the hard lesson warriors fight not only men but the monsters their minds raise. Once a pale blur moves where water kisses sand. Your chest seizes. You lift the spear and shout. Your cry looses the dogs. The village spills out. Torches bloom. The shape is gone, prints on the wet shore remain. The elders say it might have been a thief from upriver, or just your own shadow. No one laughs. They say he was awake. He saw. That night you learn better a false alarm than silence and loss. No crowd cheers for a kept watch. No one will sing a saga about a night you stood shaking in the wind. But in the morning, when the village is still quiet, when the ships still lie where they should, when the granary hasn't been touched, everyone who passes the pier knows someone kept it. And they will remember you not in words, not in song, but in the silence of their eyes. Night after night you learn to live with solitude, with wind, with water. You learn that honour isn't only in the clash of shields, it's in standing alone unseen and not leaving your post. You don't become a true warrior in your first battle. You become one in your first watch. You do not abandon. Part 5. Rite of Passage. When trading season comes, they summon you to the pier, not to stand watch, but to ride escort. The boats are stacked with bales of wool hides, dried fish mead. That cargo is the village's blood traded for iron salts, sometimes weapons. They point at you and a few other youths climb aboard. Guard it. You scramble in and sit beside the piled sacks, spear planted upright. The sea is calm, but your head is rough water. If raiders hit and the cargo goes, the village goes hungry. Your eyes rake the horizon, distant hull shadows. An odd oar beat, a swell that moves wrong. Salt wind scrapes your throat raw. Even a single rib creak in the planking makes you bristle. Midway out, weather turns. Spray slaps, clothes soak through. You yank canvas over the load, your hands go numb. A sack slides, you clamp its shoulder, yelping spine about to snap. But you hold. The captain nods. Good. You learn escort work isn't only eyes, it's backbone and stubbornness. Nightfall brings a strange shore. You stay awake, palm on the spear, staring at blackness in the trees. Leaves whisper animals move, a step crunches or not. Maybe thieves, maybe nothing. But you know this one careless breath and the boat clears out while you sleep and your name will be cursed. When the sun rides high and grass goes fierce green, summer begins, and with it raiding season. No more drills. This is the real thing, longships packed with fighting men, dragon heads, bright sails, full cutting into far water. At 16, for the first time, you sit among true warriors. Your heart thunders, half fear, half hunger. Tension lives on the ship. Elders check steel. Younger men rattle shields, eyes burning. Harsh songs vie with the drum. You grip your oar. Sweat slicks your palm. Salt wind surf thud sail whine. Today the ship will ground on a foreign strand, maybe a seaside hamlet, maybe a distant monastery. Ready the captain calls. You catch up your shield heart like thunder. The prow kisses sand, the whole rank splashes overboard, water ice cold at the thigh. You shout, charging with the line. This raid isn't rehearsal. Voices cry, shields crash, timbers break. Your vision freckles, sweat mixes with blood, legs keep running. Your shoulder hammers the shield. You don't kill, the elders go first, your end point stabbing for real. You hold the rank tight behind a cover to the rear, keep the wall. Even so, you note in your bones you have truly gone raiding. When you return, no one will call you boy. They will say he's been on a raid. Close summer's honour. You come home with holds full silver, fine pelts, even casks of wine. The village roars fires, deep sagas are sung. You step off the pier with a stiff back, hollow eyes, hands seeping salt-stung blood. But the way people look at you has changed. In those looks is recognition. He's kept the pier, he's ridden escort, he's sailed to raid. He is a man. You sit by the flames, hear the singing, smell roasted meat, feel the wooden shield still salted with sea. You touch the raised blisters on your hands, the bruise on your shoulder, and you smile. From now on, you're not a youth. You carry a Viking warrior's share. Part 6. First battle, 1617. No one calls you the boy in the line anymore. You've rowed the long day, crossed the winter river, sworn before the village. All of that was only a shadow. Last night the captain stopped at the fire, pointed to you and those your age. Tomorrow you go in. No fanfare, no long speeches. A simple order. You lie on furs and don't sleep. Surf keeps time in your ears. Your chest sits too tight. Tomorrow you won't hide behind older shoulders. You will stand in the wall shield to chest eyes to the enemy. You may die face down in the sand. But if you turn your back, if you break the wall, your name will be stripped from the saga and buried in silence. The choice could not be clearer or harsher. When grey lifts you step aboard the longship, early wind cuts your cheeks, salt stings the air. Shore lies far off, blurred by mist. Beat by beat, stroke by stroke, it draws near. Today will be your first real fight. The dragon prow rears, the hull slices. You sit mid-bench, the oar is heavy, brine sweats from your palms. The bow drum booms back steady grave. The whole ship feels alive, a great wooden beast. Dried fish musk seeps from sacks, fresh pitch from the seams, damp wool from your mates' tunics. The wind salts your lips. Your back burns from pulling, but your heart burns hotter. With every stroke, shore sharpens, green smear of woods, pale strip of sand, thin kitchen sifting smoke. You recall your lessons, read the ground. Rocky shore, hard landing, hull breaker. Soft sand ankles, sink, footing fails. Low bank, easy to rush, easy to ambush. Your eyes stretch wide for detail. Which way the wind, how the current leans. Not a game, knowledge saves lives now. The captain lifts a hand. Prepare oars still, sail drops. Wood groans, waves thump. You let go the oar, take your shield, clamp the spear. The shield drags your shoulder down. You brace. Your heart trips, but your eyes stay bright. Around you others your age are shaking 2-bit lips, cords standing in their necks. The drum changes faster. The ship surges. Spray explodes. The sea's reek swallows breath. The surf roars louder than your pulse. You yell a breath holder, a fear splitter. The prow punches into sand. The shock rings your bones. You stagger, don't fall. Over the captain roars. The rank leaps. Cold water climbs to the thigh, waves smack shields. You tremble, shout your voice, roar into the ranks roar. Feet plough into soft sand, sucking heavy. You bare your teeth, heave the shield high, shoulder the hull to drag her up. Every step is a flogging surf, slaps wind keens. Shoulder burns, but the line keeps time shouting in one voice. Smoke blows from the shore. Shapes flicker low huts, rattling thatch. A few more heartbeats and your rank will dress out. Your shield will slam into theirs. Your chest tightens and swells. This is what you've lived toward since mud gleamer, since shivering pier watches. You shout, your ribs burn, and your whole childhood funnels to a point ready to take your place in the wall. Part 6. First battle. Sand still sucks at your heels. Water still whips your calves. The captain's command cuts the wind line. The cry bounces back. You and the other youths scramble straight. Shields up, shoulders locked. The rank clicks into a round wooden rampart. Iron rims glinting. You feel your mate's breath. Warm your cheek. Hear his heart in your ear. Cold sweat needle down your spine and your hand shake. Then the rims kiss tight. And a strange strength sweeps you. You're not alone. The captain lifts his spear. Advance. The wall steps. Short. Sure. Together. Sand spurts. Rims bang. You tuck low sight through the slit. Ahead the enemy clarifies wild hair, matted beards round shields, staves swinging. Steel flashes. Throats rip a war cry. Your chest seizes, but your feet don't stop. At a few strides range, their howl rips the air and punches your ribs. Your body wants to backpedal, but your mate's shoulders press you forward. Then shield hits shield. The crack detonates. Shock runs your bones. Your head knocks your rim. Stars spit across your vision. The wall holds. You grind your teeth and bear down. Wood splinters, iron scrapes, boots churn. Breath rasps, sweat stink blood, and brine knot into a choking cloud. Your own side bellows, theirs hisses. You stop knowing where you are in the tangle, only that the shield must stay high and the push must stay on. A stave smashes your board. Fire races through your shoulder. You wobble, feet drill in centre drops. Gleamer returns to you, hips low back straight. You root. To your right a mate roars. Hold to your left another answers. You answer too. The rank squares. For a heartbeat you lift your eyes and catch the enemies through the slit red beard laced with blood. Your hand twitches to let go. Then the truth hits he's afraid too. Fear flushes out of you. You shout, drive the shield, and feel the whole wall creep a pace forward. Cheering flares from somewhere, no idea where. You pour your voice into it. The shiver that began in your stomach burns up into fire. You're not a teenager anymore. You're part of a single animal called Shield Wall. When the drum stills and the enemy slides back, you remain upright, sucking air arms rubber. Your shield is gouged, your shoulder blackening, feet salted with sand and blood. But you did not fall. You stood your first wall without running, without turning your back. That night by the fire, your eyes are still red, hands still shake. No one sings a saga of you, but the older boys look at you differently. They know the boy has gone into battle, and you know your youth is spent. From now on, you are a Viking warrior bound by blood, sweat, and honour. Part 6. First Battle. You've stepped into the line. The shields have closed. The spears are levelled. You've shouted to drown the fear and felt the weight of your comrades' shoulders locking you in place. But that was only the prelude. The real moment of contact is about to crash over you. And you know this is no drill. There's no more mud, no more sticks, no more soft wood. What stands in front of you is a person, teeth bared, eyes, blood-bright steel in his hand. When shield hits shield, there's no pretending. Everything will be decided in the roar, the breath, the drumbeat driving you forward. People love to tell sagas in a heroic tone, who struck whom, who took the spoils. At 16 in your first fight, the truth isn't like the saga. The truth is your lungs seize your breath, cut short, your hands tremble, your vision blurs. You want to drop the shield and the spear to turn and run. You can't. Your shoulders are wedged in the wall, your village stands behind you. Death stares from the front. There's only one way through. Keep the breath, keep the beat live second to second. You peer through the slit of your shield. The eyes across from you blaze back, steel flashes in a fist. He screams, voice ragged, spittle flying. Your heart clamps, your knees shake. You drag air in, salt and damp wool musk dab your nose. Your shoulder aches, your throat is dry, but the shield stays up. The drum quickens, captain roars, push you, and the rank stamp forward, shields grinding. The collision cracks like thunder. Your whole body judders. Your brow smacks the rim. Stars burst. Your spear nearly slips, but your hand clamps harder. A blow hammers in from ahead. Your shoulder flares hot. Blood smell threads the wind. You pant. Your lungs burn like fire. Enough rises to your throat, but your voice won't come. You swallow it down. Heart gallops. Head reels. For a flicker you think I'm going to die. The thought swells dark and eats the light. You shake. Sight smears, breath jerks. You see the comrade beside you crumple, sliding in the sand, blood spattering. Panic spikes, you want to spring back, but your shoulders are pinned. You cannot turn, you can only stay. Your breath rabbits, your throat closes, your ears ring. Each smash into your shield rattles your bones. You feel yourself tipping. Then inside the chaos you hear the lead man bark one word through drum and metal and screaming, breathe you. Inhale. Longer, deeper, not a panther belly draw. Cold air cuts, lungs ache, but your head clears. You find a pattern, breathe in on the drive out on the brace. Your frame settles, you remember Gleamer. Keep centre, keep the back straight. You remember the night pier, do not leave your post. It all folds into this heartbeat. You weld the shield to your chest, eyes fixed on the slip breath, evening out. The heart slows from its panic gallop, and you can feel it, you haven't lost yet. The captain calls, the drum presses, the rank creeps a step. You go with it. Your back screams, your shoulder burns, but your breath holds. You shout with the wall voice, raw throat aflame. The shouting rolls into one wave stronger than fear. You're still afraid. But fear no longer fills the room. It slides back and leaves space for tempo, your breath, the drum, the wall. You stop thinking about an hour from now. You think about the next beat, and you know you've crossed the first border from panic into control. By the time the sun slants and grit and sweat sting your eyes, you're still on your feet. You haven't killed anyone, but you haven't broken rank. You've breathed, you've held, you've stayed. In the saga, you'll tell yourself this is the opening chapter. The first fight and the first lesson live by breath, not by panic. Part 6. First battle. The drum hammers harder. Spearheads flicker in the late light. The rank leader barks short, low, stone-hard push shields clamp. You're rammed forward. Your shoulder shrieks under your neighbour's weight. There's no choice left. Only advance with the wall. Your feet punch wet sand and sucking mud. Sea wind salts your face, eyes burn. You roar, your voice folds into surf and howls and becomes one collective sound. The enemy roars back, eyes rolled, white teeth grinding. No distance now. Your shield and theirs are about to grind. The two walls hit with a sky-splitting crack. Shield on shield, spears stabbing, your shoulder jackhammers. You nearly pitch back, but the leader braces and his eyes spark. Shoulder to shoulder he snarls. You tilt and weld your rim to his. The shock pours through you like current, and because of it the wall holds. Wood splits, resin stings, sweat and blood thicken the air. A spear jabs the gap, skims your cheek. Heat flares. Blood runs salt at your lips. You hiss vision freckles, but the shield stays high. On your right a mate screams and drops. You count your board to cover the hole. Weight doubles on your arm. Lungs sear, but the wall does not break. They batter wildly, staves, chopping spears, wriggling through slits. Your shield rattles like it will come apart. Your forearm shakes. Breath spikes, chest stabs, throat clamps. Vision fogs, your heart shrieks. Fall, just fall. You remember the leader's word, breathe. You drag a long pull, send it low and yell. The shout kicks the shadow out of your skull. You're still standing. Another blow lands sledge-hard. Your knees sag, your shins sink, up the leader barks. You pour what's left into the legs, stamp forward half a pace. Ribs blaze, calves flutter, but the wall is still there. You begin to feel it, you are not fighting alone. When your shoulder threatens to slip, the man on the left leans you straight. When your spear wobbles, the one on the right darts his through. The leader's cadence cuts the air, push, hold, thrust, the drum answers. You cling to that cadence like a piling in a riptide. Faces blur, you stop knowing who you fight. You only know when the wall shouts you brace, when it shoves you stamp, when it howls you howl. Fear knotted in the chest kindles into fire. You understand one man can snap, the wall cannot. Suddenly a seam opens left. An enemy spear knifes for it. In that blink, your heart knots. You roll your shoulder, your rim snaps across the point, sparks off iron. Your wrist goes numb. Your shoulder is rope cut, but you closed it. The left-hand man regains his spot. The seam seals. In that heartbeat you understand life and death don't hang on one grand cut, but on a single beat held. Half a second late and the wall was ripped. Time goes blind. Minutes or hours you can't tell. Only the cycle remains pound brace drive. Your hands tremble. Calves burn, back bows, your breath rasps like coals. Eyes sting, salt eats your skin. You want to fold, but the drum still talks, the leader still calls, your mates still roar. So you keep going. You think I can't hold. Then you meet the leader's eyes through the slit, bright and hot, and you know he holds, so you must. You bellow, scrape the last strength together. Hold, one more beat and one more. The horn finally wails long. The enemy drifts back. The wall lowers shields, gasping. You drop to the sand arms, dead, shoulder swollen, cheek bleeding. But you didn't die and you didn't turn. You held the line, leaned into the leader's board, breathed in time with your crew. That night the fire gutters and jumps. You sit still, eyes blurry, ears ringing. No saga names you. But the older fighters look at you differently. They know the boy has passed his first fight. You touch the notches in your shield, the torn skin, and think quietly, childhood is dead. From now on you are a warrior living and dying with the wall. Part 6. First battle. When the last horn still hangs in the air, when the sand stays hot underfoot and the air is thick with smoke, sweat and the iron tang of blood, the survivors gather like a spent flock. The battle peels off them like a wet shirt, its mark still pressed into shoulders, shields and palms. No one is praised. After the sword clash there is no glittering trumpet. There is another rite instead, rough, practical, uncompromising, dividing the take, weigh merit and fault, and pinning an honour label on each person by giving or stripping the share they've earned. A campfire pops in the middle of the strand, smoke coiling upward, mosquitoes whining. The rank leader steps forward, tunic streaked with mud and blood, voice dry as sand. Sit. The word is both signal and test. Everyone settles into a ring around the heap, bulging. Hide pouches, wine jars still breathing, their sharp reek, bracelets gleaming. Knives, swatches of costly fabric, prized by European nobles. The pile is a new map. The share each person takes will sketch their position in the communities tomorrow. Division isn't children's play or whim. There are unwritten laws, rules hard as iron. The leader taps his staff to earth eyes, combing the faces. Who made the breach, who held the shore, who kept the shield wall when I stumbled. Names are called one by one, thread stitching each reward to a deed. Those who cut deep and paid in blood and honour get more silver. Those who stayed rowing, hands never leaving the oar in the turmoil, get hides and provisions needed for the days adrift ahead. More or less each portion is proof the community remembers what you did. You're wedged in the crush, fingers still stiff around a bound strip of cloth. The callus on your forefinger throbs, your shoulder aches. In front of you a silver pouch is opened. Your piece is small, nothing to a rich man, but here it weighs like a sentence, your name spoken aloud, entered into the community's living ledger. Your heart kicks, not for the silver, but for the sound when the elder calls you out. That sound says you are not forgotten. This rite is also social justice in motion. A man pale still is named, and the elder's tone turns sharp. He stepped back. The word sours like vinegar. He lives, but his portion is smaller, and the whole ring stares. The gaze itself is punishment. In this society, to live under contempt is a lifelong wound. Your share becomes an arrow driven into your honour. No curse is needed. Life has its own law, step back, get less. Hold the wall, receive more. Betray, be punished hard. Honour is doled out like grain kernel by kernel, and each kernel is heavy. The smell of division beyond blood and sweat is hide salt from dried fish, the sting of fresh drink. Bags are slit, cloth is unrolled, cold bracelets touch your skin and warm with your heat. The one presiding stoops to hand each portion, and with it a few words, a brief praise, a warning, or sometimes that's a sentence on hold. You take yours. It feels like a palm on your shoulder saying, accept responsibility. Whether much or little, the gift seals an invisible contract that we give today. Tomorrow you carry it, and when needed, you pay it back. Some shout louder than victory itself, bragging, spinning bracelets like they're rattling the weapons of fame. But around them move bowed shapes, splicing rope, cradling wounds, eyes sunk with fatigue. A child is pulled in from the ring and handed a warm scarf. Their eyes flare, lesson learned in this house. People give and a people receive. Religion, power, and livelihood reproduce in that system. Behind laughter and jostling lies a structure tougher than any bright tale. Then comes the share no one wants remembrance. The names of the dead are set in a row and spoken. No court to record them, only fire and voices. Short stories of courage of someone who fell hauling a sheet rather than from a mortal cut are told and retold. These stories are the social insurance of the age the dead person's family gets a larger portion. The community shoulders part of the orphan's keeping. It's a survival net strung between people built for raiding, who still know they need each other to go on. When the silver's dealt, they don't feast at once, they move to the wounded. But before a bandage tightens, sometimes an elder stoops, lifts a lost shard of silver from the sand and presses it into a dead man's child's palm, a small gesture with heavy meaning. You watch and understand booty isn't only wealth, it's a way to rewrite the story, a token that files your name into the group's future. Today's coin might bind a daughter's wedding a year from now, or pay a famine's debt when winter bites hard. When things settle, laughter returns to the fire and drink goes round. But the colour of the air has changed, joy braided with thinking, pride tied with humility. You sit with those who braced your shoulder, breathe, smoke, feel cold threads through bone. Your share rides in your pouch, but its tether weighs more than the leather. You touch the edge of the silver, and know from now on your name is knotted into a long current, recognised, expected, and checked by a strange network of violence and duty. You carry not just wounds, you carry your portion of the community's mosaic. Part 6. First Battle. When division ends, the fire still burns, but cheering dims. The wounded are carried outside the ring, laid on hides. No clean beds, no sweet oils, only spreading blood, bitter smoke, the sour of sweat and iron from rusting steel. You sit close, hear the groans leak from their throats, hoarse, broken like wood posts splitting. Women, elders, and unhurt warriors move in. One slices a tunic open, and a deep shoulder gash gapes raw meat, dark blood, heat breathing out. Another brings a wooden bowl of crushed herbs, roots, and leaves rank, bitter green sharp. They smear it straight into the cut press hard. The patient hisses. No anaesthetic but mead. A gulp is poured, both warmth and a small fire to mask the pain. Your chest knots. You know next time that shoulder under the knife could be yours. A broken leg is splintered with pine strips, hemp lashed tight. Bones creak, breathing rasps. The shelter fills with the thick cord of blood smoke and singed mutton fat. You remember the saga lines heroes bandage mid-battle and fight on. Here you see the truth tears, cries pallor. No halo, just a wrestling match with death and a hope to live till morning. After treatment comes citation. The elder voice rasping stands before the crowd and says, "This one held the left when they pressed. That one sealed the gap when a comrade fell. This youngster," he points at you, slow, kept his shoulder in the wall and did not leave when stunned. Shields drum like thunder. Heat floods your face, your heart sprints. Not for the share, but because your name just carved itself into the community's memory. The saga won't write today, but by the fire they'll say, "He stood his first fight." But aftermath isn't all honour. There is judgment. A man is singled out. He turned his back while the line stood. The ring goes silent, heavier than curses. The leader doesn't shout. He simply reassigns the man's portion to others. The man bows, face burning, hands clenched, and stirs no defence. He'll wear that mark for life. In this world no lash hurts like the whisper. He backed away. You watch and learn to die in the wall is remembered. To live in shame is erased. That lesson bites deeper than any wound. Night drops. You sit by the fire and stare at the dried blood on your shield. Your shoulder throbs, but your breathing settles. In your pouch, the small silver weighs heavy. In your ears, the shield drumming still rings from when your name was spoken. And in the fire, your eyes find a new reflection, no longer a confused child, but a fighter who has crossed a battle and knows the price of blood credit and honour. You lie back on hides. The night lifts open with 1,000 stars. Wind slaps cold and you smile thinly. The saga won't record these seconds, the stink of blood, the groans, the chill. But these are the truth. You murmur, I survived my first fight. Part 7. Coda becoming one of the crew. You were once the child trembling by the hearth listening to grown-up Saga's fingers worrying a toy shield. You were once the teen face down in Gleamer mud crying from shame biting your lip against pain. You were once the watchman at the pier shivering in the wind half asleep afraid of a shadow at the water's edge. All that has fallen behind. After your first battle after the spoils, after your name was called in the ring of fire, you step into a different world, the world of the crew. In the Viking age, not every person is counted a true warrior. Only those who've gone to battle, held the line and not turned, are given a token, some small sign, a leather cord, a rune chip, a metal ring. Its worth is heavier than silver. It turns you from apprentice into part of the unit, a link in the shield wall. Tonight is your turn. The night after the fight, the group gathers by the fire. Shields stand in a circle. Flame-like climbs faces. The leader rises, a leather thong in his hand, a small rune-carved wood at its end. He keeps it short. This one held his shoulder. This one did not leave the wall. This one from this day is one of us. He comes to you. Your chest tightens. Sweat beads, but your eyes are bright. He slips the thong over your head. The rune chip drops to your sternum. It touches skin cold at first, then warms to your pulse. The circle drums their shields thumb like storm. You shake not from fear, but from pride. You look around, your mates no longer see the kid. They nod recognition in their eyes. Elders smile. Those younger glance up with shy admiration. In that instant you understand your shoulders no longer belong to you alone. They belong to the wall, to the crew. Your own eyes in the fire have changed too, no longer searching for approval, but the eyes of someone carrying the team's honour. Part 7. Coda. Becoming one of the crew. Next day, crossing the village green, the looks are different. No one sees a chore boy. They nod greeting you with quiet respect. Children point that one went to battle. Women smile. Men clap your shoulder. Small gestures, heavy as shields. At the evening board you sit nearer the middle, not the edge. When drink goes round your cup is not smaller. When meat is cut you're served as any fighter. Most of all, when the elder asks, who holds when the north wind lashes your name is called? That's when you know you are no longer outside the story. You're posted to the pier with full-grown warriors no longer lumped with youths. You're called into councils to hear plans for the coming season. Heavy tasks fall to you with trust convoying goods guarding stock. No one clocks you by the minute they know you swore and you proved it. You also keep silence when elders speak, but when needed you may speak and your words have weight because they carry the fact you have stood in the wall. In the Viking world, that's the hardest currency of all. By the fire when tales are told you hear your name for the first time, not long, not gilded, but clear. That day he kept his shield tight and didn't give ground. The ring drums, the sound booms. You sit still, eyes hot heart wide. In this society, to be told in the saga is to exist beyond death. You are no hero yet, but one foot stands in the collective memory. You look at yourself in water. The eyes looking back have changed. No more the flutter of a child, now the gaze of someone who can carry a community on his shoulders. On your chest, the rune chip bumps your skin with every step. It's light but reminds you that from now on you are crew. Your childhood died in your first battle. A warrior was born in the night after in the shield drumming and the looks of recognition. And when you step into the next raiding season, shoulder to shoulder, in the wall, you know you have walked the whole road from mud to thunder, from fear to honour.